Yo, it's Tuesday night. This is where you need to be. Jeremy, how you doing?
I'm hanging in there. Every time around this year, I think to myself, am I going to get into basketball? And once again, my Hornets missed out on a generational prospect, even though having a top pick. So I am back to saying maybe next year. Maybe next year the Hornets will be relevant. So
Well, don't worry. We can shift the focus to some dynasty trades tonight. Let's hit the intro, Will. What is up, Quentin Brown? Yo, I'm a big yo
Quentin
guy.
Brown.
Yo, Sean, as always. GEGP. Good evening, good people. And then we've got a filmography question, but I think I'm going straight to the serve on the intro. Becca knows what is up. How we doing? How so I did this question last week, but how in the weeds are you on these rookie drafts? Are you do you feel like you're fully in the streets at this point?
I'm used to having most of mine like rip right off the bat, like first week. I've only had one. I have
Dang.
two next week, and I have another league that had like a mass exodus, so we're trying to fill that one. But it got me itching. I think especially once we get through a little bit of the rookie draft stuff, we'll work on putting together some dynasty daddy leagues, and we can do some of the startup drafts here. And I kind of want to start getting the taste for some new leagues because I feel like I didn't join any. I don't think last year I joined one because I was like I have too much going on. But now I'm like, okay, now I feel like I have a void. I'm like, I need a little bit more action, especially right now.
It's that itch,
How are you
the
doing,
the
Will?
the, the startup itch. I'm through I want to say 4 rookie drafts, and I definitely had the itch in one of them, and it was, you never want to do this, but it was the first rookie draft of the season. I've got a very strong team, and I think I'd mentioned it. I traded away Amonra to like really get a feel for the
Oh
rookie
yeah.
draft. Basically turned Amonra into Hampton, Burden, and Ibuka. So Will is either going to be really happy or really sad depending on how the season goes. We'll see. That's the big lead too. There you go. What's up, Kyle? There we go. All right, let's go. Let's get right into it. I see some trades coming through. What
Yeah,
up,
we got a
William
few.
Barter, Tracy, and
Lots of
Penix
hype.
for Travion Henderson. So I'm gonna assume Superflex because I think it's an auto smash in single quarterback.
Mhm.
Are you willing to pay this for Travion Henderson?
I'm definitely going Penix side in the super flex. I could see if this was a one QB league, I would probably take the Henderson side. But given the context we have, it's a little steep for Henderson when I'm not saying I know I've been saying, oh, Tracy's bad. I feel like the market started to, bake in the idea that Scadaboo is probably going to have some sort of significant role here, but the idea that Tracy's not going to be relevant um, is also something that we don't know. We could totally see Tracy having the 60-40 to Scadaboo.
Mhm.
So I don't want to rule that out. It's within the range of outcomes. And if it's super flex, you give me Penix. Like Penix has at least 2 more years this year, next year, and probably another one, given his starting situation. And the Falcons have a lot of talent around him, so hopefully he can, be in a situation that's not like Cam Ward, where it's like, who is he gonna throw to?
I'm curious. Now, I feel like Penix, we make this joke, but I feel like Penix is the classic QB3 on a lot of teams, sometimes even the QB4.
He
It's
is,
it's
yeah.
teams that, maybe they even they had a late first, having 2 strong quarterbacks already in that draft class, and we're like, yeah, I mean, Penix fell or whatever because of all the positional players that went before. I could see myself doing it, but I definitely, you want to be careful rookie draft season every single year. Every rookie is hitting the 10 out of 10 outcome. Travion Henderson is pushing Ramondre Stevenson fully to the bench, and he is handling 25 touches in the New England Patriots revamped offensive line. Drake May's throwing for 3 touchdowns a game. But I do like Henderson a lot, so it is very, very tempting. I could see myself doing this in a situation where I feel really strong about my quarterback room, and I want to get that running back. But I think you might be able to get a little bit more, especially if you're
You
willing
should be
to
able to
add
get
on
more.
pieces like Tracy, or at least more proven too, or a different type of move where you're buying an older running back and getting some sort of pick.
Like a
You're getting
late,
Mixon in a
like a late
first or
first or
something.
something. Yeah. I mean, I like the mixing in the first idea, or even like, can you go up a little bit higher? I know some people are really high on Henderson, but can you get like a Hampton conversation? Like, I think that would make more sense where you're like, okay, I probably have a locked in bell cow. But the idea is like, I mean, Henderson and Tracy might have similar workloads. I mean, they both have a somewhat established, but not completely established RB2 or RB1 situation going on. So I imagine both will be in committees. If I had someone like a Hampton, obviously, Gene T are top tier guys. I doubt you'd be able to get that for Penix plus Tracy.
Mhm.
But I do think you could probably, kick around the idea of like the Hampton level of guys that actually have a locked in load. But realistically, I do think the mix in a first type of deal would be the type I would really want to go for.
We got another one here from Quentin Brown here. Should he trade away
Brown.
Travion? So we got another Travion trade. Travion, Kincaid, and Jaden Blue for Laporta, a 2027 first, and Lane. Not considering Lane too hard in this one, but so you're moving up from Kincaid to Laporta, and Travion for a 2027 first. Let's see. We've got Superflex.
Blue's not.
It's a 0.5 tight end premium. Blue is definitely not nothing, but yeah.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I can't even think of Lane's first name right now, so that probably doesn't bode well for his
Jalen Lane? Washington.
Jalen Lane. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of hard. I mean, I'd probably just take the Travion side. Even with the tight end premium of 0.5, I assume it's not. I assume it's a full PPR. If it's half PPR, I'd probably go Laporta side. But to me, I
think he's.
I will say Kincaid is giving me a little bit of Kyle Pitts stink. I'll be honest. Like, I feel like people haven't caught up to it, but I'm like, he's not giving the production that demands his value in any way, shape, or form. So he's definitely a player I want to move, but Travion and Blue to me is probably better than saying, oh, here's a random 2027 first. Now, obviously, you might have more context where you're like, hey, this team doesn't have any first until 2028 after this pick. And Travion, like, if you are confident that it's going to probably be a mid to early, you can maybe take that bet. But
yeah,
I'd probably still lean Travion. I feel like you could do more with him.
What's the chat? Let me know. What's the vibes on Sam Laporta in these kind of 0.5 tight end premium leagues? Because I do not have any Laporta. When Laporta was hitting, even as a Lions fan, I tend to kind of subscribe to the tight ends don't really matter unless I'm like really can feel locked in. I'm hitting the Bowers McBride outcome of like, this is a wide receiver one that I'm plugging in my tight end position week in and week out. I was kind of nervous about the touchdown production and everything. But I was trying to move him in a 0.5 tight end premium, and I just could not get what I thought the Sam Laporta price should be in that league. No one was really willing to pay up or let me tear down to the Njoku types. So
yeah, I think too, like with tight ends, you never really have a market, even in like tight end premium, unless it's two tight ends.
Yeah,
I'll roll something with. I have been doing.
I'll roll with Jonnu. I've got Njoku. I've got
Everyone has a guy that they feel all right with. Like in a 10, a 12 team league, like everyone has someone that you're like, okay, I can squint and see Jonnu is my guy being fine. I do think if you have double PPR, that's when you can start looking at like gaming the keep trade cut system or like the trade value calculators and being like, oh, what if I have Evan Ingram as like my flex, like one of my flex options, and you can kind of game that a little bit more, but it's still really hard to move tight ends for any significant value.
I know the last thing I'll kind of touch on, because at first glance, this move to me looks like, yes, love Travion, but being able to go from Kincaid to Laporta, and having the flexibility of a 2027 first, if you feel pretty set at your running back room, is a pretty nice feeling, especially when we've talked about how willing we are to just say, if I'm not in the Bijan Gibbs, I'm fine, rolling with, let's give Connor another year. Let's run it back with Aaron Jones and Joe Mixon and these old guys so that I can have the flexibility of the first. So that's the only thing I would say that would make me maybe want to lean towards that Laporta 2027 first. But I definitely don't want to act like Blue is not a part of the conversation, because that's somebody that could easily jump to second round pick value come training camp and practice reports and preseason for sure.
And he's also been someone that's risen a lot. Like I remember when right after the NFL draft, I think he was going like late third, and now he's kind of at the late second, early third type of range where people are starting to be like, okay, like even though we don't love him, he's not our favorite prospect. His landing spot is incredible, and he probably will get a chance. We don't know how well he'll look, but he will get a chance. Same with like Shadur Sanders or someone like that. It's like he will get a chance, so he's probably worth a flyer.
All right, we got
Big Diaz. I don't know if you saw the Big Diaz
yeah.
post, but he said he enjoys the show a lot lately. Well done, guys. Appreciate
it. It was only Jeremy. There was no Will mentioned in there, so I automatically filter it out. Yeah, sorry, Diaz. Yeah, no, I don't know. And I've seen I see a lot of names.
The Will filter.
No. And shout out Big Diaz. There's names I'll see in the chat that are like names that I see across all different Dynasty live streams with the obviously the DD guys and everything. Just names that I'll see across. I'm kind of what's the word? I definitely hang in the shadows. I'm a rewatcher of live streams. I'm like cranking those things on 2x speed while I'm doing dishes. But yeah, definitely, I've felt the Big Diaz energy pause across streams. So we've got a redraft question here. What type of format do you like for redraft? We can hit this one pretty quick. We have people that have never played before.
Yeah, I mean, redrafts. I mean, to me, redrafts hard. It's hard to like have an active trade market in a redraft league. It's just doesn't really happen. I just want it to be a little bit deeper. That's just to make waivers a little bit interesting. There's a lot of times where you play in some that are like 10 teams start 8, and it's like, okay, well, like I just hope I pick the right wide receiver in round 1 and round 2. But typically, I would say like I want to be able to start, like a 12 team start 10 or 11. Ideally, super flex just to make quarterbacks somewhat interesting. Other than that, I think that's a pretty decent. I like deeper benches. I feel like that also adds to the chance that you might get trades. Chance, someone being like, oh, I need a backup running back. Like, there's a little bit more flexibility versus like a shallow league where everyone just has studs. And it's like, hey, do you want to? I have an injured Christian McCaffrey. Will you give me Derrick Henry? And everyone's like, no, dude. Like, why would I do that?
Yeah.
So
no, I agree.
A little bit more of the speculative, pieces can be in play.
This doesn't answer this question because I think you hit that really good, and we can move on from there. I do like the deeper. I like the lean towards feeling like the better fantasy player has a better chance of winning with like a deeper league, like being able to hit on the later round picks actually mattering. And it's like, cool, I drafted a rookie who's somebody I could start, but it doesn't really matter because I'm only starting 2 wide receivers every week or whatever because it's such a shallow league. But I do love auction leagues for redraft. I think is super fun. I love auction. I have not done a dynasty auction. That is my goal this offseason, to do a dynasty startup auction. I think I need to find 11 other sick individuals to do it with me, but it is so fun. I have one redraft league that is auction, and it is super fun.
Auction might scare away the new people though.
Yeah, do not recommend.
It can scare away. It can scare away sickos, so it might scare away the new people.
Definitely, yeah. Good call, Kyle. Standard ESPN standard, full PPR basic settings. Yeah, I think definitely. I think ESPN, even though I like love doing sleeper, shout out sleeper, I think it might be easier for some people to do ESPN or bless their hearts Yahoo for redraft leagues.
I will say. I know Becca hates the ESPN interface.
Yeah, so I'm not a big fan. Sleeper is just become second nature to me.
I will say Sleeper needs to step up their speed of their app. I remember last year setting lineups and things like that. It would stutter, it would pause, it would just shut down. And then also I'm not a big. Some people are into all the pick'ems and stuff, but to me, I'm just can I just only have my dynasty leagues? I don't need all this other stuff.
Shout out Big Diaz. My eyes definitely look for dynasty trades, and the second thing they look for is my own name. Shout out to you, the voice of reason to Jeremy's mad scientist story arc vibe. Thank you for your service. I got to keep him in check. If Jeremy was running the asylum, who knows what the live streams would look like? But no,
that'll be next week.
Yeah. Oh yeah, true. Dang. If you guys want to get your will questions in, I'm gonna be MIA next week. On a work trip, so that'll be a blast. Tristan here. We as Dynasty community need to stop the charade of 1QB leagues, grow up and play Superflex like real men and women. I agree. I don't want to be a hater because everyone is entitled to their format that makes them happy. We are all playing a made up game off of a sport. So, but at the end of the day,
Yeah.
I love the quarterback position mattering, and the whole like redraft thing where you can be like, honestly, the smartest thing, and it probably is still one of the smartest things in most redraft leagues that are deep enough, is to just never draft a quarterback until you have to, because you have Baker Mayfield on waivers.
Yeah, there's always a
Last
guy
season.
that's you can always get Jared Goff, and it's like, oh no, Jared Goff, he's always going to be like QB 11, and you're like, well, like why did I pick Kyler Murray in the 4th round or whatever if the production's going to be the same? I mean, I agree. I'm ready to start the conversation of when do we just always have 2 tight end leagues? Because what we need, 2 quarterback suffers from the same issue that tight ends do, and it's just that in 1 QB leagues, unless if you're playing in like a 32 team league or something crazy, everyone usually has a quarterback. The market isn't there. People don't want to trade for those players. And I'm ready to just have two quarterback, 2 tight ends, and then all of a sudden tight ends become valuable, and then you don't have to even do as much tight end premium just because people have to start 2 tight ends. It becomes a much more valuable position.
The hashtag make Kyle Pitts relevant again. Sean, I see the question in the Discord. I've got it queued up and ready. Let's crank through some trades here quick, and then we will hit the Sean team walkthrough. I don't know why I clicked this. I apologize to everyone in the chat. Shout out Evil Jeremy. Alrighty, so I'm
Evil
fourth.
Jeremy is going to need to be reeled in a bit.
Alrighty, so what up, Kyle? So I'm 4th most value on my team, but consider trust the process, large future values and picks. How screwed am I? It is all a league market question. So I think especially when you hit the most value and it's something like future value and picks with players, you just have to find what people are willing to pay for. I think ideally, I like to think about Dynasty from the standpoint of you want to accumulate enough value so that you can compete for as long as possible. Ideally, your team is so good. And like, yes, everybody wants to have Amon-Ra, Chase, JJ, Rooms, but that's why we talk about these older running backs, is it kind of lets you compete year after year and still have enough value, whether it's in the wide receiver position or the flexibility of 1st-round picks to be able to make sure your team can compete every year. Now, that doesn't mean every single year you have Devonta Adams, Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans. You have every single wide receiver that's projected to score the most points. All of these old guys, every single year. But I think that kind of value combined with competing. So when you're in that kind of trusted process and you have a ton of value, I do like to not take everything because you want to have the flexibility, but to take enough to put together a competing roster where you feel comfortable that you can get yourself to the playoffs, to give yourself a chance. Because that's all you want to do in these leagues, man. You just want to give yourself a chance year after year.
Yeah, I mean, I echo most of those statements. I mean, if you are a team that has a ton of value, I mean, 4th is a lot, but I mean, there's probably 10 to 12 teams. So you're still not. It's not like you have so much value you need to do something with. Trust the process means, hey, you just don't have players that are going to put significant numbers up currently. Now things can change. Typically, if I have a lot of picks, I need to look at the picks, right? If they're 1st-round picks and things like that, I'm comfortable sitting on those. If I have a bunch of 2nd-round picks and I'm like, okay, I have a few holes really weighing down my team, especially trading some seconds to pick up some of those old crusty running backs, pick up some cheap production like the Jacoby Myers types. They're not going to be players that you can say I can build around. But if you have like an Amon-Ra, like a lot of times they'll be like, oh, I have 2 good players and the rest is just garbage and I have no backup running back. Okay, it's like, well, just take some of those seconds, piece together at least a team that could make the playoffs, and then keep your high level picks, because then those will start to, once you realize those, you already have your core, you have some depth, and then you walk in and you might hit on the next Brian Thomas Jr. or Travis Hunter or whoever the next big guy that everyone wants is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I wouldn't be. I mean, 4th most. Yeah, like Jeremy had mentioned, maybe not necessarily as like an insane amount of value being a trusted process team, but I mean that's when we see these moves where people tell us they're adding on to firsts to good wide receivers to get up to like Amon-Ra and Chase and CD and JJ, and you look at their team and it's stacked. Like that is where you want to be. So yeah, definitely those 1st-round picks, flexibility. Thanks, Evil Jeremy. Disagree on Laporte. Last 6 to 8 weeks, I swear he was back to where he should be. Yeah, and I there was a lot of speculation about it being injury related, like some of that production stuff. And I know maybe there's just some weird juju with what are the lines going to look like post Ben Johnson era and everything. But I think maybe it's also a combination of me not giving the average Dynasty player enough credit in how they value the tight end position and thinking I'm the smartest in the room. I'm going to sneakily move off of Laporta. I know what warp is. That's probably me a little bit. But yeah, I just felt like nobody was biting when I was really trying to trade up into, the first round in the rookie draft using Laporta.
Yeah, tight ends are hard but value, right? Like, and that's why whenever I do like a roster review or something and a team has a ton of tight ends, I'm like, you need to be willing to take 80 cents on the dollar and be aggressive and be the one sending the offers out. Yeah. Because anyone could pick up a random tight end and be like, oh, okay, this guy's going to be fine. I mean, Johnny was on waivers last year. You could probably find decent production. I mean, Taysom Hill's always free. And it's like, well, he's probably at either 4 points or 50, depending on the week. So it's hard to have that scarcity that makes Laporta, live up to the price that you see when you plug it into Dynasty Daddy or Keep Trade Cut.
Mm-hmm. Jalen Lane gonna be good. Never had a QB. Had VT. Will up as wide receiver 2 when Debo gets inevitably hurt. All right, is it time for me to drop Luke McCaffrey?
Yes. You still have Luke McCaffrey?
I was debating, but no. I get to the point in the offseason where it is how gross can I keep these backup quarterbacks? Like I've got Jacoby Brissett, like kind of like that level of QB2s where it's like, yeah, this is probably more meaningful to me than Luke McCaffrey. So thank you, Tristan. That's all I needed to hear. No Luke McCaffrey mention on Jalen Lane.
Is Noah Brown still there? I remember Noah Brown had that good half a year with the
who did he?
The Texans.
I think Noah Brown signed somewhere.
I was like, I remember he was good last year, or not 2 years ago, but
he was. Well, he wasn't the Commanders last year. I don't know why I thought. Maybe I'm getting mixed up with the when he was one of the mentions for his Texans season 2 seasons ago for hitting the 75th percentile.
He's an unrestricted free agent in 2026.
Okay.
There's your Noah Brown trivia. If you're at a bar doing NFL trivia.
Sold Chuck for a 2027 second. Sell too cheap, and that's a good little transition into, we didn't really hit the news, got right into the trades. We can quick mention this one, but Derek Carr retiring. I think most of my rookie drafts are kind of already baking in. Probably more so injury related, and the fact that they took a quarterback in the second round, that Shuck was going to get a chance to start for the Saints this season. But obviously, the QB competition being Shuck and a Radler makes it seem a little bit more likely that we do end up seeing him this season. But would you turn him around for a 2027 second? Any second for Shuck?
I mean, I guess my question would be like, why did you take him to begin with? Because you probably had to take him in the second round. But I mean, if you took him in the third and you got a second, I mean, I would sell him for a second. I think he's older, if I recall correctly, but he's like just not a guy that people are excited about. Yeah, like he's just not a guy people are excited about. And then on top of that, I mean, there's still other players there like Rattler and all these other random players. So like, and they could also bring in Rodgers still. They could trade for Kirk. Ryan Tannehill's still out there. There's still options for them to bring in some competition. So selling high on the news and just kind of saying, cool, I got a second. I don't expect his production to be unreplaceable.
Yeah, I think I like doing when you're worried about not maximizing the value on certain players that do get these little value bumps and boosts. Maybe not necessarily like their actual value, but the way that their value is perceived. So like obviously when Derek Carr retires, the entire league at least has some interest level of what would I pay for who I presume to be the Saints quarterback, even if, they should have already been baking that in when they were doing the rookie drafts. So Shuck would really, really need to have a strong season. Obviously new OC, coach for the Saints. And it's just hard for me to envision a scenario where you are getting a late first for Shuck this season. I think it would need to be like really, really strong, like what we saw from the Saints at the beginning of last season. And it's like, wow, this team like strung together for multiple weeks. You probably would need to hit like 5 or 6 weeks for you to even get a first. But I mean, QB is king. It's definitely worth the question, especially with where you drafted him. So I get it.
I'd still rather have Sanders.
Dang.
It's the Rattler thing, right? Like I was thinking about him. Like Sanders and Rattler are basically the same player. Like they just had hype, fell in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
You could probably get Sanders in a third or something, or Sanders in something like that. I'd rather do that because then I can just flip Sanders. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not too excited.
I'm team
just
team
kinda
Shuck
like,
chat. Just so you know.
to me,
But I
it's
get it.
drinking cold water. It's like drinking warm water. It's like okay, like it serves its purpose, but
Yeah.
I'm not like thank goodness.
Yeah. All right. I got you. I think that's enough. Derek Carr on the screen. Shout out Derek Carr. Reasonable
Do we hit
QB
this
production.
one by Lucas? The one above it? Oh, it just went off my chat window.
Sounds like the answer is no. Let me know if you see it, and we can.
I can read it off. I can read it off.
Okay. Shout out
It
Lucas.
is Darnold and Bijan for Cam Ward and Ginty. 12-team Superflex.
Oh, I'm going Cam Ward and Ginty.
Yeah, I probably would as well. I mean, this is honestly not my favorite type of deal to make because it's kind
Yeah.
of just too. But I will say, upgrading from Darnold to Cam Ward is probably a big upgrade now that I think about it.
All right,
And
these
GT Bijan cancel out.
Yeah, and I think the floor just could fall out from Darnold. I'm not saying it's likely just because of the Milroe draft pick, but it's definitely more likely than it was before that pick.
Yeah.
Let's I'm gonna kind of go through these as the chats are disappearing off my screen, and it's stressing Will out. All right, I'm gonna peel back the curtain.
Yeah,
So
we
let's
got to do some lightning mode.
And I pull up a big one here, but we're gonna hit it for you, Mapex. MVP, 12-team Superflex, 1.5 10 in premium. Trade one. You give the 1-on-1, Mahomes, Diggs, and you get Stroud, T, King Henry, Mills, 207, 26 first, 26 second. Trade two, give Stroud 226 first and a 27 first. Get Josh Allen, Devontae Adams, and a 2026 second. I don't know if I love giving the 1-on-1 in Mahomes for that package, even though you are getting a first.
Well, he gets
So
like Stroud and Mahomes probably
Stroud cancel, and it's Genty and Diggs for T Henry. I guess you're getting first. That's not too bad.
Would you like T at 26 first, 2 seconds in Henry for the 101?
That's pretty fair.
I think that's pretty decent. That's a good package in my opinion.
Now I guess I think the quicker one to touch base on would be: would you give Stroud and 3 firsts for Josh Allen, Devontae Adams, and 26 second?
That's probably a little steep for me, but again, like I don't know how you buy Josh Allen without just saying here's everything. Like at a certain point, someone's got to be like, okay, like I have to take the value, even though Josh Allen, Josh Allen's just the hardest player, from my opinion, to actually trade for.
Yeah, I think it's so hard for me to not want to lean towards the Josh Allen trade, but I don't know if now is when I want to sell Stroud. So yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would. Yeah, the first one is definitely better. I mean, Adams could also crush. So, I mean, if you're a win now,
next season, are you able to turn around sell Josh Allen for Stroud and 2 firsts pretty easily, or at least that level of quarterback?
Probably Stroud and like maybe 2 first, maybe 1 first.
All right. The chats are flying. Here we go. We're doing speed mode. Nico Collins and 2 firsts for Chase. Hell no. Nico Collins and 2 firsts, please. You're a Nico guy, right? Even though I love Chase.
Yeah, Nico and 2 first. Yeah, definitely Nico.
Yeah. All right. Tua and Marv for Cam Ward and AJ Brown.
Tua and Marv. I'm probably going Cam Ward and AJ Brown. I just feel like the floor can fall out between Tua, and then Marv is also a little bit inflated. Like if he kind of has like another meh year, everyone's gonna be like AJ Brown is way better.
Yeah, and I think AJ Brown is he's like unfairly getting hit with the he's getting a little bit older just because he's slightly older than the tier that he's been in for the past couple seasons. Jeremy Sleeper's absolutely terrible lately. You ever think about adding an integrated pay feature that helps people set their lines optimally for portfolio players? I would pay for that.
You gotta talk to Sleeper there. I don't. I can only read data from Sleeper. I cannot write back to it. So It is
Sleeper
very
has been
platform
bad for me.
dependent.
I don't know if anyone's a desktop user for Sleeper that like works on multiple monitors all
Oh,
day, and
Sleeper.
it's been so bad for me this offseason of just I can't even load chats on my computer or the elite chats,
Sleeper for desktop is like using a landline phone in like 2025. It's
which is
like,
so weird.
oh
Like,
god.
why is like the desktop version of something? But I get that
I
I'm the
still don't think we have
minority.
best ball. I think best ball still like you click
You
it, and it's
have a
like it
team,
doesn't work on
yeah.
mobile, and I'm
You
like,
have a
isn't it
team.
the
Check your
same?
phone.
Like, yeah, I'm like what?
Insane. All right. We are quickly skipping past hashtag evil Jeremy as the chats are
There's a lot of
disappearing.
evil Jeremy
Actually,
going on
shout out to the
here.
evil Jeremy chats though, because they're making Will less stressed that these are the chats that are going to be disappearing while I get to these actual chats. What up, Harrison? Funky Pillows. Good call. All right.
I will say I will say before we
Mm.
go further, we do have a league that I am in that Tristan commissions, and we have 4 spots, 4 orphans. We had a little bit of an exodus, but it's $30 a year, and Superflex. I think it's 12 teams start 11. I don't remember all the information, but it's in the Discord. So if you're interested in that, feel free to reach out to me or just check the Discord. We want to get that filled so we can actually rip the rookie mock draft, or not mock draft, but real draft.
I have 3 first this year. What up, Kyle? 2. All right, there we go. 3 first this year, 2 next in 2026, and 1 in 2027. Basically, unrealized gains as of now, and my average wide receiver age is 24. They will produce, but it is literally a trust the process. Have Josh Allen, though. So this was the trust the process trade team that we were talking about. A little bit extra context there of kind of turning that into actual production. I think if I am a big fan of the taking like Keon's, maybe not Keon's the best example, but receivers that are younger that you think people overvalue the age concept versus production. So like taking a Keon plus a pick and turning it into AJ Brown because somebody is looking at, AJ Brown's age or whatever. And maybe that's not the perfect example, but I think that kind of concept with these kind of trust the process teams that feel very, very valuable in the terms of how people perceive value. Because I think people tend to overvalue age in Dynasty when every single year we're basically playing redraft and then using our value to play redraft again next year and so on and so on.
I will say go out and get like a Tyreek Hill or something like get one of those old guys that will probably give you, top 16 wide receiver numbers. You could probably get that for pretty cheap. If you have a lot of young guys, you don't need to have all that volatility on your roster. You could probably say, "Hey, I'll take this one young guy, trade him for an old guy that I know will crush, and then I can kind of build around that and hope some of the young guys I have hit. And if they don't, you have a million picks. So, you can just start patching the holes as things go."
And let's turn that sad face into a smiley face when you end the sentence with "have Josh Allen," though. Come on. Have Josh Allen, though, smiley face.
Yeah.
Every time you feel sad about your team, just click on Josh Allen and see his QB finish every single season for the past 6 seasons.
Yes, it's 1, 1, 2, 1.
It's beautiful. Yo. All right, here we go. Jacob Lindsay, I offered Ken Walker 203 and a 26 first and a third for Chase. Good offer. I'm substitute add more. I mean, if I'm the Chase owner, I'm probably asking for more. I feel like a lot of times cross positional can be tough unless it is like elite. Even though I do really like Ken Walker when moving off of guys like Chase. Like I feel like people want to either tier down to the next tier that they love at receiver, or if they're going cross positional, they want to make sure they're touching the Bijan Gibbs-Genty, or they're getting one of those elite quarterbacks when they're moving off the elite receiver. But if the team is the kind of team that is really hurting at running back and doesn't have a ton of value around Chase, but I highly doubt this gets accepted.
Yeah, I think it's probably one decent piece away from being considered, whether that's another first or like a Rashee Rice or something like that, like some sort of wide receiver production, because it is a big tear down. Even in like a deeper league, I would be like, there's just not enough high end shots for me to say, here's wide receiver 1, let me break him apart.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would probably try if I was sending this and thinking about the other manager, turning that 203 into a first and just kind of holding that pick just because I do like the early second in this year's draft. It feels kind of like a late first in some years. And I think first just carries so much more weight than seeing that
visually
too.
they look a lot better.
Yeah,
Because if it's two
especially
first and Ken Walker, it's gonna be like, okay, I can kind of talk myself into it.
yeah, unless you think they really value the time value of money with the pick being this season. But yeah, anytime you're trying to buy these like chase high end receivers, I mean, you just really have to look at the team. So if you already did that and this team's like really hurting at running back, and you think they would want to do that pivot, totally get that. But definitely try to hit the spots where they're hurting because they have Chase sucking up so much value on the team.
I agree with that.
Ooh, Luther Burden best draft value in years. I am pretty pumped about the Chicago. Just not even just seeing it play out. I think it's just going to be fascinating. I think it is going to be like the most watched preseason game of all time is going to be the Chicago Bears Caleb Williams snaps in preseason. Like that is going to be.
I don't know.
Else.
You got Travis Hunter in the mix too.
That's true.
You're gonna be like, what's his snap share? What's going on here?
Right.
But yeah, no, I there's just so much talent on that offense, and I remember I was listening to JJ the late round QB pod, and he was talking about a doomsday trade that he was getting roasted because he traded it was 108 for a Rome or whatever. And I was thinking like I do think we need to pump the brakes a little bit on Rome being as highly valued as he is, because they did draft Luther Burden, they did draft Loveland, so it's not people say it's JSN, but it isn't a complete JSN situation where Tyler Lockett and Metcalf got Thanos snapped out of existence. It is, oh cool, Keenan Allen's gone, we still have DJ Moore, we drafted Colston Loveland, and we also got a wide receiver that was borderline a first round wide receiver. So it's like, okay, like, there's a lot of question marks here. And I do think Luther Burden is a little bit sneaky in terms of value. But I will also say, I mean, he's probably going higher than Matthew Golden in a bunch of leagues anyway. So, I mean, Matthew Golden.
I've seen a wide range.
Draft capital.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's Matthew Golden might be the best value. I've
seen Burden like mid second. Mid and late second for Burden is a little crazy to me, but I get preferring Golden. Depending on the scoring format, I could even get like I'm in a PPC league that is just so heavily weighted towards running backs that I am taking the chance on Scadaboo. I'm taking the chance on Tootin just because how impactful that is for your lineup is so much bigger than wide receivers, and that's a league specific thing. But yeah, I don't think Burden should fall out of the early range in the second.
I will say I do think Burden is great value, but I mean, in hindsight, you can always be like a Puka or something like that, something crazy.
Right, Bucky.
Puka was like free, like Amon-Ra.
Oh, Sanders easily. I'm sure this is the Sanders Shuck. You got to talk to shout out Alex. Alex made me pick Shuck over Kyle Williams in a league, and I love Kyle Williams.
I would definitely take Shuck over Kyle Williams.
Yeah, I know you would. I think I should have tried to do Shuck in a second for a first. Yeah, that is probably you need to see him have a 20-point fantasy week one, and he looks decent, and the Saints offense is reasonable for you to be able to do that. But I definitely would try it. I mean, send it to the team that just lost Derek Carr, and doesn't have a super flex quarterback. That's what you need to do. That's the true dynasty strat, is taking advantage of your league mates looking at their own roster and feeling sad about how they're situated at the moment.
Well, not to plug my site, but I'll tell you, I am plugging my site. I mean, whenever I'm like, okay, I had a player on my roster jump in value. I go on my site, filter by, okay, like this tight end, this wide receiver, this running back jumped in value. What team needs that? And let me just hammer all those teams with potential offers, because it could at least start a conversation that fits my goal, which is capitalize on the value of like Chef getting all this value. I want to be able to realize some of that. So that's kind of the way I use a lot of the power ranking tools and things like that.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna touch on this because I think this is probably pointing to when somebody just asked me Darnold or Dart in a league where Darnold was their QB3, and I said I would probably just take Dart. And I think my thing with Darnold is not necessarily that I believe or think that the floor is going to fall out from underneath him, but it is just, one, we have seen the floor fall out from underneath him in the past. And even outside of that, just purely a situation of a team drafting somebody like Jalen Milroe, like, increases the percentage chance of that happening when you look at Darnold's deal, 10, 15%. Even if you think Darnold and the Seahawks are going to have a great season this year, there just is an increased risk.
To quote Secession, it's, it's, he's not a serious quarterback, right? I mean, the dude had generational wealth of being in one of the best offenses and best offensive schemes and wasn't asked to do too much. Like, I need to see it a little bit more before I'm sitting here being like, he's even in the Goff tier, in Baker tier of, he's back, I can lock him in. Like, he's still a step below that for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I mean, at this point, if I have Darnold, I'm just holding him. Like, there's like, I had a chance to get out on him, and I was like, no, I'm going to ride him. I'm going to ride Darnold, ride the hype train. At this point, like, you kind of are like, well, I just got to hold him and hope that his value can recoup a little bit.
Yeah. And I think I mean, maybe it's fairly or unfairly, but I think a lot of people will look at, what Nick Mullins did for the Vikings, what Josh Dobbs has done for the Vikings over the past couple seasons, and kind of that Kevin O'Connell system. That offense, that wide receiver room as well. So there's just, even if it's not true, the floor risk chance is higher for Darnold. I have a deep wide receiver room, and considering trading Puka and Rashee for JJ, does that feel like too much? So so adding the context of the deep wide receiver room, Puka, what is he, retiring at the age of 30? Puka definitely a little bit more injury risk. Gets Devontae Adams, but I don't know. I feel like I want to hold Rice for this price specifically, even if my wide receiver room is deep, because I feel like there's a chance that I can turn Rice and get a way bigger profit than comboing to get up to JJ, even though I'm all for buying Justin Jefferson.
I'm all for it, especially if you have like the player take. And I'm not saying I have player takes, but if you're like, hey, like, Puka scares me, I don't want to deal with that. Okay, cool. I'm more like, can I stitch a second to him, or can I tear down to like a Nico Collins and pick up Nico in a second or something? Like, can I move within that tier without me potentially giving up 2 wide receiver ones when they were playing? I mean, Rashee Rice, last we saw, was pretty impressive, filling that Kelsey role in the Chiefs offense. And Puka is obviously Puka. I mean, he sees the ball 100 times a game. So to me, I'm like, I feel like you're kind of giving up 2 set and forget starters for JJ. And what are you getting? I mean, you're probably getting a couple more points per game on average, but I would be looking more to say, okay, who in this tier can I go pick up an AJ Brown and get a plus? Can I get a Nico? Can I move up and get a Brian Thomas Jr. or something like that without giving up both of these guys? Because I feel like you could probably tack on something that's smaller than each of the pieces together and make a similar type of deal.
Yeah, and absolute worst case scenario of this deal, Rice comes back, gets in another car accident, retires from football. It's Puka versus JJ. So, like, the absolute worst case scenario that could happen for the other side of this deal is still similarly projected wide receiver. Obviously the retire 30 thing, injury stuff, but week in and week out, you're feeling similar about Puka as you are Justin Jefferson, which is crazy to say.
I'll also say about the retirement thing, what other player said that he was going to retire at 30 and still here? Tyreek Hill. I'm not going to put a ton of faith in that, especially someone that's like 24 or something. Like, there's plenty of years left for me to not have to worry about that. Lots of Darnold talk. Darnold gets the streaks going. He's definitely the player of the week.
Darnold. Him being polarizing is very understandable. And it is a weird Viking situation. Yeah, I think we talked about this even just last week about how often it is that a team moves off of a quarterback and that quarterback like still continues to go on and have like a long successful career. But it is a unique situation with the JJ draft pick that season and the injury and everything. Obviously that opened it up and made things unique for that organization. But yeah, it is.
I think people have a little bit of Baker Mayfield like rub off type of vibes.
Weird,
Both
similar
Baker
trajectory.
and Darnold had similar careers, and now Baker's like an absolute stud, and they're like, oh, okay, well, like now it's Darnold's turn, and like Darnold has the talent, but I'm not overcommitting to him. You know, I think, and even the upsides, like okay, cool, Baker is amazing on a actual like redraft team or something, you know, like a week to week basis. Dynasty wise, it's people are still like, it's Baker. Like once you get cast out of your first team, you're not really like a premium player that people want. It's like, okay, I have Baker, but it could be better.
Want to go for BTJ, another young candidate in the same area. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. Malik Habite. Malik's a better target. Yeah, just get all the LSU receivers. The wallpaper on my computer is lame. Dang, you might be right. I'm not gonna show it. Maybe just in the orphan. I will say, I'll just do the little plug. Definitely check it out because you said there's 4 teams.
There's 4 teams. 2 have filled, and I get a bunch of notifications of people coming in and checking and then leaving.
Oh yeah.
So, hurry up, hurry up. I'm ready to do a draft.
That's a league Jeremy said he would manage with me together, but hasn't consulted me once.
Wait, what?
Dang. I'm gonna let you wrestle with that. That was Becca.
Oh my gosh.
I'll let you wrestle with that. Yep. Yeah, look at the available teams. Let me know which one you want. $30 buy-in via LeagueSafe. Shout out LeagueSafe. All right, here we go. Good trade question here. What up, Big Phil? Start 10. Superflex 12 team. Which side? 102 and 202 or 107 and 108? Oh, give me the 102 and 202.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
Easy. I mean, 102 is you lock in Hampton, especially in the start 10. And then
I've seen
difference between 202 and 108 is like, same tier player basically.
I have seen players, and I mean, say this what you want. It's me we're talking about. I have seen players that I've drafted at the 108 go at the 202 in rookie drafts. So yeah. 102 side easily.
It's crazy. Some of the Egbuka slide, as they call it.
Thank you. I didn't want to say it, so I'm happy somebody else said it.
I don't know. The more I think about Egbuka, the more I'm starting to buy into him. The more I'm like,
let's go. We got him. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
I'm still taking the running backs over him, but
I get that. Yeah, I think the year 1 projection for some of those running backs and the upside you could hit if Harvey is, what we all think he could be.
Harley, yeah, there's the Harvey, Johnson, and Judkins and Henderson, like all 4 of them. I'm like, gobble them all up, and then after that, I'm like, okay, give me the Egbuka, give me the other kind of questionable situation wide receivers, but yeah. I do like a lot of their landing spots.
All right, Big Diaz here, 12 by 10, 0.75 10 premium. Went 2 elite quarterback build. Daniels and Burrow, let's go. Rest I kept training back, getting first. Crusty vets, oh, love that. It's a man after my own heart. 526 first, 227 first.
Oh my God.
Bowers was just put on the block by a win now. What are you sending? Ooh, 0.75 10 in premium.
5.
Man.
Getting first and I mean, I feel okay like shooting. Would you shoot 2 first?
I would probably start by trying to do interesting player plus 2 firsts.
Like a first. I'd probably do like if I have like a meh player, I guess, right. Or like someone that's like, but still has some dynasty value.
Yeah, sorry. Like, when I say interesting, it's a little misleading. It's interesting to the person I'm trading to.
It's Jaden Reed.
Not necessarily interesting.
It's like,
to me.
I could squint. I could see. Trust me, I'll tell you, everyone here, you do not want to do the Jaden Reed experience. It hurts. You just got to hope he gets that target in the first drive, and after that, you're like, well, that was it.
It's just all about that range too, like the perceived projection people put on players like Jaden Reed versus what they could pay for something so similar.
Yeah. What would you? So how high would you go? Would you do like? I mean, all we really got. Obviously, you're not going to move Daniels or Burrow.
Right. I mean, I would be curious about what the team looks
value.
like.
You'd be like, hey, here's 326 first for Bowers.
Yeah, and in a 12 by 10. I mean, why do you accumulate all these first trading back, right? It's to get the Bowers, it's to get the BAM tier players at the different positions, and you already have it at quarterback. Especially if these crusty vets are like a nice wide receiver room, or just like you're good on running back because you hit two oldies that are just going to give you, a Joe Mixon, James Conner season and a half. Yeah, I'm probably, I don't want to get to 3, but I probably am. So I'm starting at 2 and an interesting player. Diaz, let me know when you look at that team and they put Bowers on the block. What do you think's going through their mind? What do you think they're looking after? Just straight picks? Is it a tear down? Which is weird to tear down Bowers unless the draft was real bad.
Yeah.
Or they just want to flex that they drafted Brock Bowers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious what that team looks like. I mean, maybe it's like one of those weird teams that has like so many tight ends, and it's like, well, you have Bowers and McBride, so you have to, like, they're like, well, I need to be able to start something else, but yeah, it's an interesting. I mean, it's always hard for me when I have all those first. Like the amount of trades I've had to do to acquire them all. I'm like, I just want to like be a dragon and just sit on all my picks and be like, nothing can hurt me. No ACLs can snap with these picks.
Yeah, but I just like I said, I just feel when I do have startup drafts like that where I accumulate so many firsts, I assume you kind of do that being willing to tank depending on how the crusty vet drafting ended up going when you go 2 elite quarterbacks and then just trade back and back and back. But I mean, at some point you want to turn those firsts into Bowers type players, right? And you're hoping you don't have to do it by taking, 3 first round picks and missing on 2 of them. So
yeah, I mean, if this team is loaded, you have a ton of great starters. Screw it, right? This is one of those, like, I have a nice house, might as well go buy, like, a Corvette. Like, go buy your Corvette, buy Bowers. You already got quarterbacks. I assume your running backs and wide receivers are solid. If the war lines up with it all, like, go for it.
You worked your full-time job for 30 years. Go get yourself a Corvette, Why'd you make all that money if you're not going to spend it on a Corvette?
Yeah, you got to treat yourself a little.
Is Will going to join the league? I will say I did just recently get back into checking the Discord. Went on a golf trip. Shot pretty well with the boys. Shout out to the boys. Driver was terrible, but everything else is pretty good. But I'll definitely check it out. I think I did peek at it, and there was one team that I was eyeing. So I'll see if that one got swooped up. I think there was one team that I liked more. So if you want to join the league and you want to get the team that Will likes, check it out.
Guess which team. Guess which team Will wants.
All right,
should we hit that team. Sean message?
Oh, true. Let's do this one real quick while I'm pulling up the Sean message.
Yeah, do this one while you pull it up.
14 team. Shout out Patty Mills. Legendary Brooklyn Net.
Patty Mills.
14 team Superflex start 9 PPR. Rice in the 111 or CD. Does the 14 team change anything for you? I don't know if it does for me because it's a start 9 still.
Yeah, for me, give me CD. There's more you can do with CD. And Rice, like, I just steamed up Rice on the previous trade.
Yeah.
There's still question marks. There's still a potential suspension. The 111, you're probably getting a decent player. In a 14 team, it's somewhat relevant, but just give me the stud. Like, I can have CD, and then I can figure out the rest.
Yeah, and that was a different type of Rice move too. I mean, Puka Rice for JJ versus,
yeah, it's a much
Rice
much
in the 111 for CD. I mean, Rice. Well, we were just talking about Rice and Puka for JJ. How about Rice and the 111 for CD? Puka or the 111, Jeremy?
Oh. Well, now CD's not one of the elite guys anymore. Apparently.
That's true. That's true.
Just a 1-year thing.
He's got Pickens too. All right, I am gonna pull up. So I have. Let's do this. So this is from shout out Sean. And I've got the note up here that has a little bit of context on the team. All right. There we go. All right, so this is a 12 by 10 Superflex PPR. There's no tight end premium or point per carry. I know that looks misleading, but no point per carry. Looking for the opinion of the team. No point per carry,
no tight end premium.
Right. Feels a little stagnant. Had only 1/3 and 5/4 this year in the rookie draft. Any quick thoughts on types of trades you might consider? Love the QB room for Herbert. Love the.
Yeah, I mean QB. Worry about as much.
Oh, I just love this team. I mean Chase,
yeah,
CD. I mean the wide receiver room is nasty. You don't like Cooper Kupp doesn't even need to be Cooper Kupp for you, and you have like these are easy crusty fill-ins if needed. Running back room is strong producers and whatever after that point. But you got some fun guys, Woody Marks, whatever. Yeah, I love this team, and I don't really care about tight end, and this is the perfect don't care about tight end. Freiermuth and Ertz. I mean those guys are probably hitting a lot of top 10 weeks for you randomly.
I will say I'll give you my quick advice here. I would be looking at Kneecap Nibblers. He is a rebuilder with Christian McCaffrey on the roster. I think if you just add in, like if you stitch together some value, talk with him a little bit, you might be able to find a deal. Adding kind of like a vet running back for that kind of flex bye week type of stopgap guy, I think that would be a decent option. Someone that has that big upside, like that, a Tyreek Hill type of, But you have enough here that I'm not feeling desperate to make any sort of move.
I know. I don't know.
To me, it's like.
Well, I guess the one thing I will give you for that is it is a start 10. So you are starting. Okay. But even then, I mean, if that's flex spots, in worst case scenario, you're having to flex Ridley or Cup random weeks. I'm kind of fine. I mean, obviously, I would knock on the door. Like if I can get CMC for cheap picks or second plus whatever rookie because he's rebuilding and wants to get a rookie, for sure, definitely knock on that door. But I don't even think you need to really touch this team too. And I wouldn't worry about trying to upgrade too hard using firsts or even seconds unless you get a really good deal because I mean this team, I mean I can check the other contenders, but just on DD.
No, I mean I definitely agree. This is probably the best well-constructed contender. You have a lot of the cornerstone pieces that aren't going to age out. They're very young.
That seems pretty sick though.
You have cheap tight end options that work. That might be something you want to plug later in the years. Like, oh, maybe if Johnny's crushing again, maybe I can buy someone like that, like a Njoku, depending on how Ertz is doing. But in general, this is kind of one of the ones where it's like, cool, I've done my work. Let's see once the points come in, once injuries happen, I have enough firepower to fill in at certain spots.
Traded him CMC at the end of last season. He wants to compete this year. Bless his soul. Let's see.
Don't we all want to compete? Not every year is our year.
Tyrone Tracy wins the job. Oh, he's got the Egbuka, wide receiver 1 for the Bucks. Okay. Yeah, he's got Brandon Ayuk coming off the ACL. This is coming together. Strong competing roster here. Jacoby Myers though. Shout out Jacoby Myers.
You can tell him to join the live streams. We'll help him get that continued.
I mean, I could turn these picks into a competing roster. You tell him that. But he's got that guarantee. He's got that Kittle's crew 112 though, so I don't know. Next season. Yeah, no notes. Sean, you got to send us a crappy roster. I feel like we get the Sean rosters and they're just looking the way that Will likes to build his teams.
Is there a little bit of a brag there?
No, I get it though. I mean, this is the people that are watching the Dynasty Daddy live streams. We're all checking our rosters on Dynasty Daddy or our little Excel docs and trying to like find the ways. And that's the one thing I will say, and I'm trying to stop myself from doing it too. We are not setting our lineup for next Sunday. That's one thing to remember when you're looking at this. And this, even if you were this team, you're doing just fine if you're setting your lineup next Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, your team has a great lineup, and you also have the flexibility. That's exactly what the offseason is about: is getting the centerpieces, picking up some of that depth, and then having the flexibility to adjust when we get new information.
Mm. This was
Yes.
an older
Big
one.
Diaz mentioned Puka retiring at 30. Yes, some people are scared about that, but it's
I think
something
it's
that you
just
don't need to worry about.
it is such the I mean, and we talk about it, and shout out to the DD guys, and I know Ray and Scott talking about it, and just the way that people like how hard player values can fluctuate in terms of people's opinions of certain players based off of like tiny news things. So like things like Puka mentioning something about 30, and it's like how far away we are from that with what he's doing right now, and none of it's even fall off related or age or anything. It's just literally a set date that
People take interviews a long way. Just ask Bill Belichick.
jeez. Or Tedero McMillan. That the whole
That's true.
he doesn't like to watch film.
Freshman year of college, he's like, I just want to party, and he's like, you don't watch film, and he's like, I am literally 17.
Yeah, I'm sure that guy has watched zero film and did what he did in his career and was drafted top 10 in the NFL draft.
I can't wait till he starts trying for the Panthers. That's gonna be good.
Yeah, he'll be a good backup to Jalen Coker. All right, Dark Minion. So I drafted Pacheco for a startup dynasty and need help choosing between Hunt and Mitchell for a late round handcuff. Who should I go with?
Okay, I know mine. I know mine.
I almost have a third answer, but let's hear yours because yours is probably more reasonable of an answer.
You're gonna say Smith. I'm just gonna say Kareem Hunt. I mean, he's been there even when Pacheco was there. He had a role. That's probably the guy I expect to at least get early season work.
Yeah. And my third answer was going to be who else is on the board, because I do get wanting to lock up a backfield. I think people like the comfort and feeling of I have a better chance at hitting the best outcome, which is like, what if, Hunt really is taking Pacheco's job or whatever, and it is a 40-60 split, then I want to have Hunt for sure. So I do get that, but I just wouldn't tie yourself too hard, because I'm sure you don't want to start Kareem Hunt if you don't have to. And maybe you've drafted your team to a point, or it's a shallow enough league where you never need to start Kareem Hunt. And in that case, I would take these rookies that have a chance to shoot up in value. Some of these, late round running backs that are going in drafts that could shoot up in value, and you could move for seconds or thirds, because you're not getting that for Kareem Hunt no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely at that range, I'm always about running backs. So, like, finding those running backs, I don't mind taking a Hunt if a Hunt is the best option out there. But you might be able to find a rookie that, a Woody Marks or something where it's like, okay, cool. Like, I can kind of double dip there.
And I get if the question, if we're talking about Mitchell or Hunt, I get that maybe we're even at the point where all those guys are off the board and it's really getting into the nasty, like, do I even take Ollie Gordon kind of thing? But I just think that if you're never going to see yourself playing Hunt and you just want it to feel good about having the Kansas City backfield, I would not recommend doing that. Jeremy sounds like a salty Panthers fan, thinking how good Baker and Darnold are. I was going to ask that, but then I was like, man, I was like, there's too many chats to open up this can of worms. And also, I feel like I need to be careful. As a current Lions fan, I don't want to talk down too hard on the teams that are like having struggling seasons, because that was my life for 25 years.
I mean, we both cheer for cat teams, so we all have we got to fight back against the bird teams.
True. All right, what up, Droidica? The guy. After my auction startup, my QBs are set. Wide receivers include JJ, Amon-Ra, DJ, Tet, Judy, Pearsall. Best running back is Najee. Do I trade picks or wide receivers for running backs? That's an interesting question. I think generally it's easier for me to just be able to do the pick value for a certain running back and find a team that wants to move off of an older guy. Just because that move feels so natural. Like a team that doesn't need an old running back, or they're set because they have an old running back on top of having a good running back room already. They just are like, let me turn this guy into a second because the second is a rookie kind of thing. So I find that easier. And I think all these receivers, I mean, I don't know if I would, I guess if you don't need, depending on how many starters, but
I'd probably look to see, like, if you're if Najee's your best RB, you probably need somebody. Um, yeah, I think Amon-Ra and JJ obviously untouchable. I'd be open to move anyone else if someone's really desperate for wide receiver and I can get a good option. I could probably get a cheap option with a Judy that I feel decent with, or like Pearsall, because you have a lot of wide receivers. You just kind of I would certainly look to move one or two, depending on my format. If it's all flex spots, I mean, who cares? But you'll most likely have to start like one or two running backs. So, you can't be trotting out Najee when they just took Hampton.
Sorry, my eyes just lit up. I don't want to skip over the puck. Shout out Connor and people who care about the NHL.
Connor always has a puck.
I'm a fake NHL fan. If the Red Wings aren't playing, Will's probably not watching. But I will say, I did have the game on. What was the game, Connor? How insane was that last second goal? I couldn't even tell you the two teams that were playing, but it was on the TV at the bar in South Carolina, and I watched it live, and it literally was a last second goal, like to win the game. Just insane. All right, Diaz. This one perked my eyes up. I don't know if that makes sense, but being offered Bowers and Baker for the 101, the 112, AR and Ingram. It's 12 by 10, 0.75. Was the champ with the 101. Dang, with the 101. He's flexing on us here. Champ with the 101. So is this the same team that
I was curious if it was the same
traded
team
traded your crusties, or like traded back, got all those first, and had the crusties?
I'm curious. If you need a quarterback upgrade, I'll probably do this. To be honest.
0.75 10 premium. Probably no PPC or anything.
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like the 101 in Bowers, like, they don't cancel out, right?
No, but you would probably do. Would you do 112 AR and Ingram for Baker if you needed a quarterback?
I feel like I could probably get
It's
Baker for like just the 112. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like if I can keep the 112 and either put like a random second or something, I'd be more inclined to do it.
Here's the one thing.
But I also feel like if I just won and I want to pick a Corvette between Bowers and GT, I'm probably gonna pick GT just because like running back. Like who doesn't love a true bell cow running back? And you're just sitting back watching Red Zone, watching GT just crush it over and over and over.
I know the 0.75 is like really, really hanging on to me because 0.5 and lower is when I'm just like, you guys take your tight ends. I'm chilling. But yeah, I do kind of agree that you just kind of fast forward in your mind to what we expect Genty to do. You can probably do this move whenever you want. Unless like getting Baker to you in this deal is really important. And then I would kind of try to restructure it just because you are giving this person Ashton Genty.
Yeah. Like
it's probably the price you got to pay for Bowers in a 0.75 though.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I just feel like the 101 and Bowers kind of cancel out with GT. You know, it's like, so I'm like, the price for Baker's just a little steep.
Yeah,
but no, close.
You're fine, Diaz. We're a little behind on the chats. We're about to hit another. I'll get the music cue next time when we're doing
the lightning mode.
lightning mode. So we'll start cranking through these so we can catch up. But yeah, I think it's a pretty fair deal. I'd be curious to know what the rest of the team looks like. It sounds like it is a different team. So how important is it to you to be getting Baker in that deal and moving off of AR? Because I would probably try to restructure the deal. But I think it's pretty fair. I could see myself doing this in a 0.75. But I probably still would want to lead Genty just because I think you can do that whenever you want.
Yeah, I mean, everyone the 101 is penciled in GT. Usually, you're like, don't pencil it in. The flexibility is GT. So it's literally like, we kind of know what it is. And I guess like that one question would be is like, how hard is it to trade for a quarterback in that league? Is it hard to get like a Baker type guy? If it is, then maybe it's worth doing.
Yeah. All right, Chris here. Do you prefer Travis Hunter or JSN for a competing team? I have Neighbors, Puka, JSN, MHJ, Rome, and Golden. Leading JSN since I already have MHJ, Rome, and Golden. Yeah, I think projection-wise, Underdog would tell you at this point, JSN is projected just better for this next season than Travis Hunter. Obviously, we're also just as individuals having to do a projection on what Travis Hunter is going to look like, specifically in the rookie season, even though it does sound like it's going to be a little bit more offense focused. But yeah, with this wide receiver room, do you have a preference? I know you're not as hot and bothered about Hunter as I am, so I'm curious your thoughts.
I'm definitely JSN pretty confidently. I just think I think Hunter, like, they're definitely going to use him a lot, but I also just don't know what his usage will be for fantasy. And if I'm comparing it to JSN, who already has elite dynasty value and is locked in as a 100% wide receiver with pretty much no competition on that offense.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me JSN. It's just there's too many like green flags.
Yeah.
You know, to when I'm looking at Travis Hunter, I'm like, okay, but like, what if he's a full-time cornerback and then like a gadgety wide receiver? I'm like, there's too many what ifs for me to be like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, we don't even know if Travis Hunter, if he plays 80% of wide receiver snaps, like he's still a wide receiver too behind, BTJ. So
Right. Yeah, and my Travis Hunter love is definitely more. I definitely will give credence to kind of the risk that comes with him, even though like love prospect, I'm excited and think he probably is more likely to, a 70-80% snap share guy than a 40-30 that everyone's scared of. But even with that being said, like what do you lose when you lose if both of these sides hit? And we've seen JSN hit. It's kind of where I'm at. So definitely the competing team note would probably lean JSN, but this is a nice receiver room. Neighbors Puka, JSN MHJ.
Yeah, I mean you have a good problem.
Do you guys do any quick league breakdowns from the sites? BBL. Sleeper. Did we? I feel like we looked at the BBL league. Didn't we do a breakdown of the whole league?
We may have. It might have been one of the earlier ones.
Get back to me, Patty. I know this was a little bit ago, because I kind of want to crank and hit these, but let me know if that was the same one. I think it was a couple weeks ago. We took a look at it. Okay, I think this is a different
one.
Yeah, I'm gonna flag that. Maybe we'll come back to that if that's context from a different
I do not know what OSRS is. I might be behind in the TikTok algorithm or something, but
I know what that is, but I can't. I'm losing it. All right, what up, Primo? My league mate offered me a 26 second, a 27 first, 27 second for Garrett Wilson, and a 26 fifth. Ooh, 2 seconds and a first. Are you moving off of Garrett Wilson for that without knowing the context of the league?
Probably. I mean, I think that's about what you get. I hate going for a 27 first, but I also assume I think the Garrett Wilson hype is like okay, like can we put it to rest? We know what he is. He's good, but he's not going to ever be, JJ or something like that. So, I mean, a first in 2 seconds, I don't think that's bad value. Daniel posted a 0.75 tight end premium, 2 first plus Henry and Hill. Oh, is that not a trade? Or was that a previous one? I thought that was two first or Henry and Hill.
No, I feel like there's a second part we're missing there. 2 first
plus
Henry and Hill. Or maybe that's what you would pay for Bowers. Or maybe I'm reaching a little bit too far on that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I for a second, if I was a trade, I was like, oh, we missed this one, but maybe I'm losing it.
That is quite the Derek Carr. Derek name spelling. Shout out Derek Carr. Is it still rat season? Was it ever rat season? I mean, it's just hard to believe the Saints are going to take, even if it is the second. I think it will be a pure natural QB competition, but yeah, give me Shuck starting more games for the New Orleans Saints in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Rattler. Not much to really, believe in there.
Yeah, what the HE double hockey sticks, guys? 9 likes. Come on, let's get a like on the stream for the boys.
I know
Thank you, Connor.
we
Thank you for the
passed
subs though.
56, I think, was our peak concurrent viewers, but only 11 likes. So
Dang, one of us has to be the shill. Who's shill? Because I think we're not great shillers. Maybe we'll
yeah, we
alternate
got to work on
shill
that.
nights so that it doesn't
Chill,
one of us
yeah.
isn't too much of a sellout. Okay, they want points for sure. I assume this is the Bowers trade we were talking about. Kamara, Harvey, Jennings, Flowers types. Okay. Moving off of Bowers to get points. That what that probably is. But yeah, let us know. We can touch back on that if there's more context you want to add to what move you're looking to get together. Because I think we were kind of around that interesting plus two firsts in that 0.75 for Bowers.
Yeah.
My league mate offered me a 26. Oh, we already did that one. Okay.
The Rattler.
Yes.
There's some Rattler fans in here.
Chat, are we cooked? Yeah.
Ooh, did you do this Tristan one? Will, do you agree that handcuffs are a bad game theory? Basically wasting a roster spot on a guy who you can only use if your main guy gets hurt. Love your shirt, by the way, and your smile.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Tristan. Appreciate it. Probably the nicest Tristan to Will message we've seen in the Dynasty Daddy live stream career. So I appreciate it.
Tristan can be a little spicy sometimes. So
it's just he is who he is, a straight shooter. I can respect that. No, I think I tend to think, especially at that range, like when we were talking about, this was the Elijah Mitchell, Kareem Hunt question, and it was kind of like, I want to have a handcuff to feel good about my teams. I mean, there's certain situations where if I am like nervous or think that a handcuff could have, like a Woody Marks or a DJ Giddens, and I already have JT or Joe Mixon, I get the like, well, you want to hit the nuts outcome with your starter, so you don't care about the handcuff. But in those situations, it's like, man, a third round pick, like, fine, like I'll take, especially in like a start 9, start 10, like sure, just give me Giddens and I can like feel great about that situation. But at that low end, I care more about the value upside than I do the locking up the running back room. So yeah, and I think in redraft is kind of where people talk about handcuffs a little bit, where it's like handcuffing your own running back versus other running backs and, you know, the upside. And for redraft, I can get and understand that because you kind of do want to hit the nuts outcome in redraft. Like you want to hit, I have value in this handcuff that I drafted for another running back that I can then trade away to make my starting roster better. I definitely subscribe to that theory in redraft because it's so much of redraft is kind of like best ball, where it's like, I want to hit the nuts, like give me the rookie that absolutely smashed. And that's how I want. Like think about the people who drafted Neighbors and Land McConkey in your redraft leagues last season, or, you know, got Puka or Kyron off of waivers. Like you want to hit the nuts outcomes. So you don't want to draft Christian McCaffrey. And I mean, maybe you do situation wise where it's like you're taking all the handcuffs because, man, if your first round or second round pick is injured for the majority of the season, like probably going to be a tough push for you to, you know, win that redraft league. But yeah, in Dynasty, I care way more about turning players into picks or getting a bump in that player's value so that they are seen as interesting, like I use in the context of adding on to Bowers, you know, or the 2 first to get to Bowers with an interesting player. I just want players that have the buzz and have the value that other league mates want to trade for them. Even if it's a small value bump, I want the player to matter enough where my league cares about getting them on their roster, because then I can then manipulate that to construct my roster the way I want to.
Yeah, I mean, I think in Dynasty, usually your benches are deeper. People are making trades. I don't think handcuffs are a huge concern. Whereas, like, if you're playing a best ball, especially a tournament best ball, you don't want to be stuck with a bunch of handcuffs and having zeros on your roster.
What is the Puka song?
The Puka song? It's the it was on the Dan Levertard show, I think. It's like Copacabana, but with Puka.
I'll have to check that out. And I'm not familiar with I'm familiar with Dan Levertard, but all right, we got a 1 QB question here though. What up, Jeff? PPR start a shallow 1 QB. You're given the 106 and a 26 second to get King Henry, the 108 and a 27 third.
Give me the get. Give me the get.
Get your King Henry. Get your smash
King
in
Henry in
a
the
shallow.
start 8.
One QB too.
What's the like? What you're trading from Judkins back to what, Harvey?
Right, you're still getting one of those running backs or wide
Like you
receivers
still
if you really
get
want
basically
to.
a running back in the same tier. Who cares about the 26 second or 27 third?
Yeah, and those get
When
a
you're
lot
probably going to
worse.
get a
Yeah.
top 5 running back. I mean, Derrick Henry's going to play till he's like 50 at this point. So
Especially if it's your own
like,
26
congrats.
second and you're getting King Henry.
Yeah,
Because
I mean,
if that second's
that's free.
bad, that's a mid third in other leagues. Is the NBA rigged? I will say, if you asked me this, for the past 4 seasons that the Pistons have had the 5th pick when we should have had a top 2, yes. But not the Pistons made the playoffs this year, so no, the NBA isn't rigged anymore. Now the Mavs thing is pretty wild. It's pretty crazy. I tend to think no. I think it would be really, really hard, even though it does look that way, for that to actually get rigged, just based off of how the lottery system works. But it's more fun to say yes. So I'm going to say, yeah, it's rigged. And
It's more fun to say yes. But I will say, I go to like tankathon.com or whatever, and you just run mock draft sims, and you're like, wait a minute, like the top teams getting the top pick, like don't happen very often.
Mm-hmm.
So it's unfortunately what happens when you flatten the odds is you're going to have years where just random teams make it, because that's what flattened odds do.
Flip 100 coins and let me know everyone's findings. All right, Xavier Lopez, 12 by 11, 1.5 tenant premium. So are we gonna treat the? I guess I'll read to see 1. How important the tight end. I always get intrigued by the tight end premium, especially when it's like a 1 or 1.5, but I don't know if it matters that much. MHJ in a 28 second, get Worthy, JT. MHJ in a 28 second for Worthy and JT. MHJ is my wide receiver 5. And my running back 2 is Pollard. Rest of the team is crazy good. Are you doing this for? I mean, you're the registered Marv hater. No, I'm just kidding. But are you doing this for JT? I know your answer is probably trying to you want to get a different running back.
I probably would. Yeah, I mean, I think I could probably get a higher running back with Marvin Harrison Jr. And if I'm loaded at wide receiver, I'm kind of okay risking it with a Marvin Harrison to some extent, because I don't have to rely on him as much, right? Like if he craters, it's like crap. It's not like, oh my gosh, my entire future is ruined. You probably have a decent future set up. But you could probably look for, especially like a rebuilding team or something like that is stuck with a random old running back or a decent running back, and be like, hey, like, Hampton doesn't fit your window. Here's Marv. Like, let's throw a couple random picks and make it smooth out for everyone, just so it kind of fits what your team needs and what their team needs more.
Yeah, and it's a 12 by 11, but saying MHA is your wide receiver 5, I wouldn't stress too much about a move to get like a Worthy back. If you can get up into like Genty, Gibbs, Bijan, for cheaper than Marv in a 28 second,
Yeah, no, I agree.
What up, Sean? 10 team Superflex, 0.5 tight end premium. It's got Jaden Daniels, Hurts, and Herbert. Oh, you got to move one of those.
Goodness.
Actually, I was going to say move one of those, but look at this team. Genty, Hampton.
Well, it's a 10-team Superflex. So.
Chase, HAP, Rome, Sutton, Ibuka, back Kyle Williams, love Kyle. I love the parentheses, love Kyle. Let's go. And Joku. All future picks. What's the next move for the squad? I mean, the move for me is you're benching Justin Herbert every single week, and that just like feels insane to me. So I am tearing down and like trying to hit a smash receiver, but I mean, I wouldn't mess with Genty and Hampton.
I'd try to tear up off of Rome. I feel like that. Yeah, I feel like he still has some value. I can probably get someone that doesn't need to have as much dynasty insulation as being like a young guy or something.
It is a 10 team.
Will give me more production. Like I already got the dynasty centerpieces in Genty, Hampton, Chase, JD. I have all these guys that are dynasty value amazing. I don't really need Rome to do anything, right? Here I'm like, okay, like, I'd rather be able to turn Rome into another smash start, even if they're older, just so I could be like, okay, cool. Now my team is 100% ready to compete here.
Okay, I have a question for you because I think that we as dynasty content creators can fall into the trap sometimes as like finding the easiest value move that will hit well on dynasty Twitter if the clip were to be posted, right? Like I agree with the move you're trying to talk about, but I'm trying to think when I look at a 10 team superflex and my brain goes to I'm instantly like, oh, you got to trade Justin Herbert. You got Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, trade Justin Herbert. You know, Herbert and Rome. Let's get a smash receiver. But odds are in a 10 team, most people feel pretty good about their QB room. So you probably would have to move Jaden Daniels or Hurts. So if you tried your damnedest to move Rome, and let's say you're doing Rome and Herbert and you just cannot get your way into a smash receiver, even though you should, probably, in most leagues, would you move JD5 or Hurts to get a smash receiver looking at this team so that you're starting JD5 and Herbert at QB, Gentee Hampton, Chase Amonra, third smash receiver, and Njoku at tight end in a 10 team?
Yeah, I mean, I probably would. I probably would do that. I think JD's probably the one I wouldn't move just because, like, he's a real difference maker. But yeah, I mean, like if I can stitch Rome in Herbert and that doesn't work, then
right, I would definitely start there. For sure, start there.
But I do think that like I kind of assumed you got these 3 really good quarterbacks. Your market probably is like, we're okay, man. We're okay. We got a bunch of other quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the hard part with a 10-team league is even in a super flex, there are only so many quarterbacks going around, so the market's a little bit depressed, even at that Herbert range. And as much as you like Kyle and Besh and all that, like, you probably do want to have a locked-in stud in a 10-team Superflex league.
Yeah. And I think, just I definitely, I agree. I was about to say I agree with myself. But, definitely start with the Herb Rome type of deal to get the smash receiver. But I would not feel too sad. I do like Herbert enough to feel okay with moving Hurts, especially if you're getting a smash tier receiver. Like, even if the Herbert to Hurts production fall off in this league, like you're starting to feel it in the league, it's not going to matter too much when you're able to start Nico Collins every week or, CeeDee Lamb or what have you.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you have enough value that it's like, and in a league like this, it's going to probably be the name of the game, consolidation. Yeah. And the most important positions, if you look at WAR, is going to be wide receiver and running back. You already got 2 amazing running backs. Can you kind of find that, ideally, third wide receiver to round out that trio?
Yeah. All right, 10 by 11 Dino contender. Don't need Eckler and can't trade him. Drop him for JCM or hold. So that's the other Washington running back. What round? I think
I'm definitely holding Eckler. Like I think he'll still have, a spark here and there. We don't know what injuries will happen. I'm not too concerned about Eckler losing some sort of role.
Yeah, it's tough because I talked about the value spike for players, and it was specifically with the Kareem Hunt thing, where Eckler kind of feels like Kareem Hunt plus, right? Like in the context of like where they're at in their careers and the roles for the team. Yeah. But I think Eckler you would feel a little bit more confident is locked in to the role for Washington. So I get the fear, but I think it's a little unlikely that week 1 JCM is 70% snap share and just smash it. And like, it's going to look a lot similar to what we saw last season for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree.
All right, so this was back to the Big Diaz trade. This was the Gentee Bowers. So the 101 Bowers move where you're getting Bowers and Baker.
Yeah, Bowers and Baker.
Don't care about Baker really willing to ride AR to I that does help a lot in not wanting to make that move, especially if you don't need Baker. This is
I mean, I will say I'll disagree a little bit with Sean here. I think Anthony Richardson is like low key a decent tier down at like a third QB. If you have a third QB like a Penix,
yeah.
Like I think, what in the world? I got a 4-digit authorization pop up. Okay, we'll close that. But yeah, I mean in general, I mean, I love like the tear down. Can I get, and even if I got to start AR, I mean, if he plays, he's kind of like a walking 20-point game. So fantasy wise, he does well. It's kind of that Justin Fields conundrum of,
Right.
do I just ride it till the wheels fall off and hope that he makes it?
And I wonder if AR gets the I can fix him thing that Justin Fields has gotten for 2 teams, you know?
He's only like 22 still, so I think someone will drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about the Steelers and the what's the Falcon, not the Falcons, the Saints fighting over like Aaron Rodgers. It's,
Right.
like someone will be like, okay, fine, I'll bite on Anthony Richardson.
Okay, who I will say, I asked you this a couple weeks ago. I'm curious. Who starts more games for the Indianapolis Colts? Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones this next season?
Anthony Richardson. If they start Daniel Jones, the coach and the GM are fired. So
I kind of hear you. I also do think, and I think you probably agree too, that it is they very much see it as an open QB competition. Like, I don't think that's just a fire being lit. I think they believe that.
Daniel Jones will start if they think they can make the playoffs, right? Like if they don't think they can make the playoffs with Anthony Richardson, they're going to start Daniel Jones. But if they start Daniel Jones, they have to make the playoffs. There's no like, we're building towards something. No, it's like you have to make the playoffs or you're fired. So that's why I'm like Anthony Richardson. You could say, oh, he's progressing. He's able to throw the 5-yard check down passes. Like you could see progress with Anthony Richardson without making the playoffs, and I think people would give the coach another year. But if they are like, nope, Daniel Jones, like it's see ya if you don't actually put on an actual product on the field.
Mm-hmm. All right, Purdy, Ayuk, Yoshivas for T. Dynasty 1 QB, half PPR.
Yeah.
I think anytime,
easy,
anytime too, like, yes, this trade and this discussion could look incorrect a year from now when we're kind of revisiting, but you have to make so much more projection with players coming off of injuries that even though you get the contract with Ayuk in a 1 QB, just give me T.
Yeah, I agree.
Old school RuneScape, surprised you don't know. Yeah, I will say RuneScape, there's a couple. Will is definitely a nerd. There are a couple things nerd-wise that I missed out on. Didn't really have like I wasn't really allowed to use the computer for playing video games when I was growing up. So I didn't really get to do the RuneScape thing. But I was allowed to play a ton of Halo 3 and Halo 2. So that's how Will spent his time.
I got the okay.
Patty Mills, I see that.
Peter said,
Hey.
thanks for the insight. Was able to trade the 112 for Dak and Isaiah Likely. Also traded Pearsall for Tua and the 205, which was Matthew Golden at the 205.
Ooh.
That is spicy.
Let's go. Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah, Matthew Golden at 205.
That is like even if Tua like disappears off the dynasty radar in 2 seasons, like you could still win this trade easily.
Yeah. No, I mean that's
awesome.
That's a great steal.
All right, I do have
you got the Patty Mills.
Oh, yeah, Patty, if you're on the I've got it. I can pull it up. Okay. Sorry, this was the Patty made yeah, what up, Patty? Don't think so. Drop the link in the Discord. So this was the Rice 111 for CD.
Oh, okay, yes.
I hope it was clear. Yeah, do that. Like get CD. If
Yes, definitely get CD.
So I wonder if, from Patty's perspective, if it was, do you still feel comfortable doing that, looking at this team when you're going to go into the rookie draft with just the 314 with this roster? And I am, if I have.
I am. It's rather shallow. That's the kind of takeaway I have. Like, you could be like, okay, man, I'm giving up the 111, but it's like, okay, is the 111 something I'm going to miss? I have all my picks. I can buy a cheap running back if I need it. I'm tearing up to a absolute safe dynasty asset that's tied to Dak. Dak's coming back. You got 2 spicy quarterbacks, so you don't have to worry about that. Yeah, I think that's a good deal.
Yeah, and two, if you're worried about not wanting to do that deal because you look at it and you're like, man, I don't feel great about my depth. What if Michael Pittman falls off and Shaheed doesn't do anything when he comes back, and Lord knows what's going on in Deontay Johnson's mind. Like, and you want this 111 because you're like, it would feel so good to be able to add a receiver there. I get that thought process, but absolute worst case scenario, you just have so much flexibility. Like, you can just think of these kind of like there are like golden first round picks. Like, the absolute worst case fail safe is I can tear down off of one of these guys, still have some sort of elite quarterback, and figure out my wide receiver room, or running back or whatever.
Yep.
So, yeah,
that's what I say when I say insulated. I'm like, you can always split them. If you're like, I need some value, I need to split some guy. You have a lot of players that you can split, including CD. If you trade for CD,
yeah,
it's like if you split Rice, I mean, what are you getting? You're like, okay, like Jade Reed, get Wayndale Robinson in the first. Like, it starts getting a little bit more desperate down there.
Yeah, and yeah, I get it that you feel like you're paying the price of it to you. It's like, what if Rice smashes, comes back off the injury, and it's like nothing changed. I just think that you're not even paying that much tax on that potentially happening when you're getting a CD Lamb.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that
Would you
wow,
take
I was right.
Shroud for Tyreek straight up in a 1 QB 12 team dynasty half PPR?
I just Tyreek's kind of interesting. Half PPR.
It's 1 QB. That's the hard part.
It's just 1 QB.
Like Stroud is like meh. Like I probably
what can you trade?
Tyreek?
What can you trade Stroud for pick wise in a 1 QB? He's not getting you a first. You're just getting like solid young quarterbacks are just getting you seconds in 1 QB.
Yeah, probably. I can pull up real quick.
I'm just I'm not a 1 QB guy. I guess like if it's a half PPR though too. I mean, if you're just like stacked at quarterback and you have like a young, like JD5 Hurts, like some sort of young quarterback that you're always playing over Stroud, like fine, go send him for Tyreek, Devontae Adams, make a push this year.
It looks like a late first, according to Keep Trade Cut. We can look at ADP Daddy. Daddy is around Jalen Waddle.
Oh wow, okay, yeah. I mean,
Waddle,
and James, you would know your market in your league more. I mean, I would definitely try to look at similar type of QBs and what people were able to trade or buy them for. And I would also try to look at the context of the team that did buy those. I just don't play in 1 QBs to feel great about it, but I guess I'm probably taking Stroud. Like, if you feel like you can move him or make this kind of trade whenever you need to, especially in a half PPR, I guess I would just rather have the asset that's going to hold that similar value that I could then move at any time.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Will, please watch your profanity. My 5-year-old's watching. Was this when I said HE double hockey sticks? I've been watching.
I imagine.
No problem, Will. Okay. So we're at 5 first and 26, 227. Those are the players I have in my lineup that I could add first to get Bowers on the block. Okay, gotcha. So this was those two players. The points types. The Kamara, Flowers. All right. 108 for 111, a 26 third, and Aaron Rodgers. Assuming it's just kind of standard, 12-9, 12-10 super flex.
108. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably just take the 108. I mean, it's not very inspiring. Like, can I just get a second?
Yeah.
Like a random second or something? Like,
I would rather have a random
move back
second.
to 111. Yeah, like, I'm like, Aaron Rodgers, like,
would you
how
go?
desperate am I for quarterback?
I do like staying in that, even though I do like the early second, I do kind of like staying in that late first, if I can. Would you move to the 112, 201 for just a second?
Yeah, I would.
I'd probably rather do that.
I think that tier's pretty big, right?
I think so too.
I feel like there's a lot of guys like
I love hitting those running backs if I can. Like Egbuka and those running backs get me going. especially if this is not tight end premium. I really don't want to have to take those tight ends.
To me too, like my one rookie draft I had right after, I was like kind of in a gross situation, but I was like, I just had all these late first. And I was like, I'm just going to load up on running back. My best running back was Chuba and Rashad White. So I was like, I just need running back. And to be able to just go down the list and just be RJ Harvey, Caleb Johnson, like Hampton, just hammer all of those. Like, if you need running backs, like, I just want as many of those picks as I can.
Yeah. All right. Just made a trade. I'll go back to our big faces for you guys. 12 by 10, 1 QB. Competing team traded Diggs for 26th, 3rd, and Pat Bryant. Ooh. Is Diggs at the kind of old win now receiver that you would rather just have than the 3rd and the question mark receiver?
Yeah, dart throw. I would much rather have Diggs, I think. Because essentially it's like around 2/3 for Diggs, which I would probably say is somewhat fair, but I don't know. I think the ceiling's a lot higher for Diggs. Like, assuming he comes back,
it's a 1 QB.
He's like 60-70% of his, what he was, and he's in New England, so there's not a lot going on up there. So
yeah, I get nervous. Sorry, I was just gonna say I get nervous about these Sean Payton guys. Just because, man, you could copy and paste a lot of the stuff. And similar vibes we're hearing about Pat Bryant to what we heard about Marvin Mims and what we heard about, Troy Franklin at times. It's just Devon Vele. It's just it's tough to feel.
The hit rates are low.
The hit rates are low, and it's just, players are going to talk up the guys that they draft, or coaches and staff are going to talk up the players they draft. So I wouldn't get too jazzed about the Michael Thomas comparison notes that Peyton was dropping about Pat Bryant. Not that I'm not willing to take Pat Bryant in the range he's going in rookie drafts, but for me, I think it's way more likely that Diggs is impacting my team for sure for this season. And I think I would even give that versus a 3rd in a 1 QB, 12 by 10 and Pat Bryant.
I will say Ray Rue. Am I crazy in thinking Harvey should be in the same tier as Henderson and Judkins? Opportunities. For a second, I thought opponent. Same opportunities. Ops. Talented. Yeah, I was like, what? And can see him rising in redraft ranks. Come in. I think Dynasty is giving too much of an age discount. What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts of this?
Yeah, early. So, draft capital, I'm not too worried about, like, early, mid, second versus late second. I will say for the first season, in terms of like overall production, I probably would go Henderson, Harvey. I probably would put Judkins 3rd in like what I expect, just for a team that drafted Sampson, has Ford there, and is the Cleveland Browns, and has their current quarterback situation. But yeah, I don't think that's. I think that's why I feel so good about trading back after I miss out on those top 5. If one of them is Cam Ward that I need in a Superflex league to kind of get into that late first to just take whoever's left. Yeah, I don't think it's crazy at all. And I'm not too worried about the age thing. I think there's a lot of context with RJ Harvey's, collegiate career. I think, there's a lot of things you want to point to as far as like breakout age and, production at certain ages. And yes, he had this, insane season, but, a lot of running backs aren't doing that in their 4th, 5th years. It's, we want to see it 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and then they're, maybe even declaring after the 2nd season. But yeah, I guess I'll put it back to you and you can answer this first question. And is Caleb Johnson not a part of that at all for you?
Well, I was about to say, I think
just the 3rd round.
It's easy to split hairs. Split hairs here. I would also put I would say he's 4th in the tier, like Caleb Johnson, but they're all the same, right? And there's a reason why I'm always saying Hampton and Gene T aren't as far apart as people think. If you look at like what the team's actually telling you about them, and that's the same with the Harvey. Harvey got incredible draft capital, incredible situation. Who cares if he's 24? We saw a 5th round 25-year-old running back come out there and crushed it last year, and Tracy, and everyone was like, "Oh, give him first for Tracy," and then all obviously now you're not getting that, but if Harvey goes out there and crushes it, no one's going to realize his age because everyone's going to say rookie. It takes a second for people to think running backs are old. If he goes out there and crushes it and his value goes up, I'm definitely probably looking at other options to just say, okay, cool. Like I'm at the top of the roller coaster probably, but for the first year, I'm not worried about age. If he comes out and crushes it, you got a guy.
Yeah, and I think the same opportunity, if not better. I mean, you talk about the running back rooms for those teams. One that drafted another running back in Samson and has Jerome Ford, like I mentioned, and then what Ramondre Stevenson. I know everyone's ready to throw him out with the bathwater, but I mean that's a real legit NFL running back. Say what you will about the fumbling issues, but him, Antonio Gibson there. I mean, it's not obviously the team drafts a running back in the second round. The expectation is they're gonna handle the work for the most part.
Well, I mean,
or at least
Stevenson's under contract till 2029 as well. So yeah. I do think there's probably an out in 2027. Like I think they could probably. I think some of it's non-guaranteed. Don't know all the information.
Yeah, that deal was weird. I remember thinking that was super weird when that deal happened.
But he didn't get like backup money. He didn't get Najee money. Right. He got I'm going to do something money.
Yeah, and new regime obviously, but I think just purely the sentiment of what has this running back done in the NFL? Like you have to give it to the Patriots and the Browns versus what the Broncos have, especially after moving off of Javonte.
Oh man, there's a lot of comments in here that are hurting my soul. Oh, got a lot of Kyle Williams love, some Elijah Moore.
Okay, this is the Elijah Moore kind of feels like Curtis.
We don't want roster clogger wide receivers here.
Hey, I'm just gonna say, Jeremy, I can't look somebody in the I can't look an Elijah Moore truther in the face and have them list off the quarterbacks that Elijah Moore's played with and tell them that there's not a chance he's gonna hit some spike weeks with the Buffalo Bills. I'll also probably point to the contract he did get, and just ask him to watch Buffalo Bills film from the past two seasons and just kind of the way that team uses receivers. But hey, I used to be an Elijah Moore guy. I definitely drafted. Everyone look back at your startup drafts for the season that Elijah Moore was going to smash for the Jets when they finally got a quarterback, Zach Wilson.
It's always the Jets. It's always the Jets. It's always like this year. This year the Jets are going to figure it out.
The Jets Browns route has to be bottom two wide receiver teams to have to play for. Against the Bills. But yeah, I mean, I would move Elijah Moore for anything of value if he's sitting at the bottom of my roster and somebody's willing to pay up because he's getting to play with Josh Allen.
Yeah, no. I mean, he's definitely I'll move him for any third, any fourth. Get me off of this ride.
Mm-hmm. All right, this is back to the JD5 Hurts Herbert QB room where we're trying to upgrade the wide receiver position with Rome. Dabbled a little bit moving Hurts. JD is movable in my opinion. Yeah, we were kind of in the same boat, but I'm going to throw some offers with Herbert and Rome. Yeah, thanks for the breakdown for sure. All right. Becca was trying to get that. If you could text her that 4-digit code, that verification code for Coral Island. So she
had to text me the digit code. I got the pop up 6 times. So
yeah. I mean, next week
she can now play Coral Island.
Next week I'm not going to be here. If you guys want to do a Coral Island Let's Play, you could definitely do that. Answer some Dynasty trade questions.
Yeah, do so. Coral Island Let's Play.
Top 5 swagless QBs. Daniel Jones for sure. Can we do a top 5 QBs? Let's do 2. We'll do 2 because there's still some questions I want to get to. Josh Allen is definitely number 1 for me.
That I don't want to hang out with. Josh Allen's pretty cool. I'll probably say.
I feel like Jalen Hurts would make me better as a person if I had dinner with him.
Jalen Hurts is very, very, very wholesome. Baker would be fun. Baker and
Baker.
We've got at a bachelor party.
Baker is still fun Baker, but he's also profound found himself Baker, which I think would be the perfect time. So yeah, I'm gonna go Josh Allen Baker, but I got some honorable mentions there.
I think Hurts would be good. I feel like Lamar would be pretty cool too.
Lamar was on my mind too.
Lamar.
Shout out John.
Honestly, any elite quarterback would be fun.
Yeah.
I feel like if I hung out with Bryce Young, I'd have to babysit him.
Who would be the worst?
He always
to hang with.
Worst quarterback?
Worst starting quarterback in the NFL right now.
Who would that be?
If Aaron Rodgers signs with the team, that's the easy choice.
Aaron Rodgers is definitely top tier. It's like that silence is deafening. Who is unbearable? I don't even know.
It'll come back to me. I'm an NFC North guy, so Aaron Rodgers is just so up there. And I don't hate Jordan Love, and I can't hate JJ McCarthy. Even though we're gonna beat the Vikings week 1. Halo 4 was the best. Ooh, I gotta give it to Halo 3, but I cannot talk down on the Halos. Super thin at running back. Could get a running back, in my opinion. So that was the 111 that Patty we were looking at on the roster. So it was Derrick Henry and Chuba Hubbard, and then Marshawn Lloyd, Ty Johnson, Trey Sermon. But the league is shallow enough where I think you could probably I would just move a second versus feeling like you need to keep that 111 and not do the CD trade to get a running back there. Even though it's exciting to let me lock in Harvey or Caleb Johnson, whoever's available there, I would probably rather get myself CD and have a Monra CD in my wide receiver room, and then just get, Mixon, Connor, Jones, whoever you can buy with those seconds and thirds.
Yeah, there's a lot out there. Adam Pollard, Adam Swift. I mean, there's a lot of cheap guys that you can get. People, you're not going to, sit there and pull it up on Dynasty Daddy and be like, thank God I have Tony Pollard. But
yeah,
it was probably 10, 12 points a week. So.
And there's running backs too. I mean, if it's impossible to buy the running backs that have good projections, like a Joe Mixon or James Conner for this next season, if worst case scenario, you have to play Jalen Warren types, that's fine. If your wide receiver room is Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, and you're starting Jaden Daniels and Lamar Jackson in your quarterback super flex spots. Yeah, value. Yeah, I think it's just this is very well put. We're totally on the same page. It's CeeDee Lamb we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, even with the accelerated value of Rice, it's probably still Rice in the 111 for CeeDee Lamb, right? Mm-hmm. If you add on 20% increase to Rice's value, you're still looking at CeeDee Lamb if you add in that late first.
Yeah. What up, Nick, Jake? If you want to throw it in the Discord channel, in the live stream ask in the Discord link in the description, I'll pull it up on stream here. But I'm gonna crank out. We still got a couple of trades I want to get to.
Congrats on your Knicks. I know.
Honestly, I will say,
Celtics, but...
here's my thing. As a Pistons fan, and it doesn't matter because we're out of the playoffs. Salty. It doesn't matter. I think the thing that hurt me the most about the Brunson flop stuff is he is so good. He is insane. He is a bucket, and it's definitely not been as bad with the Celtics. And maybe the Pistons just play a little bit rougher than the Celtics and drew it a little bit. But man, prayers up for Tatum. That is brutal. I watched that live. That was sad to see.
Yeah, you never want to see that happen.
Yeah, that's tough. But it definitely does not taint the Knicks series. They're playing insane. Okay, chat daddies, we need to get Jeremy to close stream so I can play my game for real. Ooh.
It's okay. I have we have resolved that issue.
Okay. Nice. Love it. Patty Mill said love it. I'm sure it was in regards to that getting resolved. We don't even know if Roger's still playing football. Yeah, that Rogers deal we were talking about, where we were just rather have the second for sure. Diggs, yep, it was an ACL. Y'all know where I stand. Yeah, I just do like Kyle Williams. But I'm not going to pretend like the hit rate of wide receivers that go in that range is phenomenal.
You got to know what you're taking there. You got to know what you're taking there. That's all I'm saying. He could hit. He could be great. But guess what? Guess what we said last year? Oh man, Jalen Polk. There's no one there. Jalen Polk, Javon Baker. Those guys are going to hit. There's a lot of exciting stuff going on.
What if all the Washington receivers just sucked?
It's the same bet, man.
Never mind. Shut up, Rome. Can we live stream our home draft?
It's Connor's in a home league with me. We got our over Memorial Day weekend. We have our in-person draft.
So what does the logistics and setup look like? Are you're like one computer is set up on a screen and you're like putting in the picks one at a time? Is somebody wearing a suit and announcing them?
we last year we had it like this year too. We don't have everyone there.
Okay.
It's like some people are having kids and
So
things
it's
like
going to
that.
be a slow
So
draft.
yeah, it's gonna be a somewhat slowish draft, but still fast. It's gonna be like 10-minute timer or something. It's usually just all of us hanging out, and then we'll roast some picks. Give people some crap. That's what it's about.
Mm-hmm. Appreciate the thoughts. So this was the Harvey versus Henderson Judkins. More stable year one value. Yeah, I agree. And I think specifically Judkins as well. Even though I like them all, like it would not surprise me at all if Judkins is getting that, Nick Chubb light workload. And if he hits his runway, I think the same with Genty. No one. Hey, what about Raheem Mostert, man? He scored a bunch of touchdowns 2 seasons ago.
I mean, we saw Mostert with A-Chan.
Sincere McCormick, it is a different regime that obviously drafted a running back.
Yeah,
insanely
no,
high.
I mean,
but yeah, but agree, closer than we think for sure. I know you're on that board there.
you just gotta blur the lines of the tiers. People get so set, like when you're running a million mock drafts, when we're all watching every single live stream from our favorite creators at 2x speed, grinding all the takes and being like, I know it all. I know. Caleb Williams is the 101, 100%. And it's like it's not how it works. There's variance. There's a gray area.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got some Joe Flacco, number 1 Mike Lennon. So these are all the quarterbacks you want.
Yeah, all the
if we're going back
hang
in
out with
time, man, yeah,
or not hang out with.
Mike Vick. Knicks, baby. I feel like I have to pull it up. Give a hat tip. They're playing well.
I will say Sean said, just realized I'm too deep in the Discord because I now realized I'm not subscribed.
Dang.
So there's got to shill when we can. We're closing in on 1,300 subs, so keep it going.
And it is working.
I see it go up slow. It is working. It is working. I see it go up slowly.
All right, we've got where is?
I think we did this one, right? The Jeff Layton. That was the 106 for the Henry.
Yes. Yeah, I was just pulling up. I'm pulling up the Nick Take Jake league. And this is an interesting team. Looking to move the 101 for an elite QB possibly. Not a huge fan of Drake May despite the love. What's the Oh man, I'm not trying to move Drake May, but I appreciate joining the Discord. Let's take a look at this. Drake May, Caleb Williams, T-Law. I'm not too worried about moving the 101 to get more elite than this QB room. I'm looking to move off of one of them, but I don't know if. I mean, I guess I would, but I'd rather just add Genty to Bijan here. You already have Malik, CD, Amonra, Rice, Odunze, wide receiver room's fine. Mark Andrews. I'm just trying to add Genty here.
See, May. Oh yeah, no, this is. Yeah, because you got May, Neighbors, Lamb.
Ooh.
Yeah, this is a team where you lock in Genty and you're like, cool, like everyone's just paying dues for you for the next 2 years. Because there's I mean, if anything, there's like you probably a little bit inefficiency at the into the wide receiver room. You got a lot of guys worth a second plus. Probably could tear up off of a Ndunze. That's probably the direction I would be looking.
I would knock on the door of the Jaden Daniels, Anthony Richardson, Geno Smith to see what the cost would be like to tier up, but I'm not worried about doing that, and I'm especially not worried about using the 101 to do that.
Yeah, no. That's one hell of a team. That team's loaded.
Yeah.
See, we're getting rosters all over now.
You let me know. Jeremy does great roster reviews. We'll happily do the live stream ask quick peeks. But yeah, do you want to do your roster review pitch?
Well, yeah. I mean, a roster review. I have been getting blown up as with this time of year every year, because everyone just does their drafts or is just having their drafts. But roster review, I do it like a 20-minute breakdown or 20 to 25-minute breakdown of your team. We go through WAR. We go through moves you should be making, break down your draft strategy, or if you already had your draft, kind of figure out the position for your team going forward. And it's in depth. We go through anything you have. And, if you want me to dive into random questions that you have, or sometimes I have people. It's just like 2 words. It's like, hey, just tell me what to do. And other ones are like a paragraph. It's like I've been thinking about this team. I have every roster memorized, and so the more info you can give me, the more specific I can get. But it's definitely a fun time.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna. Oh, I meant to click this one. Daniel's owner wants an arm and a leg. Shake my head. Also love Genty, the person. Think he's instantly top. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think with your running back room too, and yeah, your receiver room is insane. So like, I wouldn't even worry about trying to pivot off of that. And two, I mean, I know it gets exciting when you have a team that has such a strong value to kind of tier up at quarterback and kind of hit that range, even if you do have to pay an arm and a leg to get to JD5 or Josh Allen or Lamar. But I mean, Drake May, Caleb Williams. Would it surprise you at all if we're looking at, maybe 4 to 6 point per game less, but we're still talking about those guys as first round startup quarterbacks next season? I just would not stress about moving off of those guys versus just taking.
Yeah, I mean they're pretty insulated. Again, I mean, to me, the guys I want to move off of are people that's like, I don't think their value is sustainable in Dynasty. It's either that, or it's like, hey, I have so much value here, like Roman Dunze, where it's like, I don't think his value is super sustainable, and if I don't need him to hit, as in I already have an Amon Ra and like some other insulated Dynasty pieces, can I use him to go get production now? Because I can build around those cornerstone pieces, that really just tips the scales in my favor. Let's see, do you have the Diaz roster?
I do. This is the Bowers. This is the Bowers is on the trade block here.
We got JB. Shouts to the Dynasty Theory crew.
Oh yeah. All right, so here we go. Diaz. This is Bowers got put on the trade block. We got 4 firsts in 26, 2 firsts in 27, and I think the had his own 28 at least, if I remember correctly. But what do you? There's some interesting. Yeah.
Seeing this roster, I'm a little bit more inclined to say, like, I don't think I'm trying to consolidate all my picks for one player, because I don't think this team is like a Bowers away from like making me feel good.
Yeah.
Like, if I want to move first, can I move 1 first to get a locked in running back? Can I do like a first plus something to get JT? Then can I use another first to lock in like a decent shot at a wide receiver? Right? Can I do a first plus to get Rashid Rice or something like that?
Is there any unique
I think there's a little
scoring
bit more
in this
holes.
guy? I think the
no
wide
receiver
premium,
right?
This was 0.75. Bowers on the block, right?
0.75, yeah. 0.75.
Yep, right here. Bonus reception. Yeah, I mean, we're all Dynasty freaks. We all peek at the wide receiver room whenever we pull up a roster. You only a ton of flexes, it looks like, because obviously you can play 4 running backs with how this is set up. So I guess it's not that stressful to have to immediately improve the wide receiver projections for next season. But not that I wouldn't like to. I feel like instead of paying up for Bowers, I'd rather use these firsts to see if I can get a smash receiver and or running back, like you had mentioned.
Yeah, I'm not trying to consolidate. I'm trying to either make my shots of like, can I take a first plus like a Hollywood or whatever and get something that actually fits my window more, or honestly, like, just hold on. Like, if you're like, none of these deals fit, like, I have no problem taking 4 first round picks for this team. I mean, you got Dylan Sampson as your RB2 right now. Like, Jaden Higgins is your wide receiver too. So to me, I'm like, I need some guys I need to hit on a lot of talent to turn this team around.
Yeah, I'm trying to peek at these good receiver teams, but I don't know if you could make these moves. I need more Baker. Yeah, this is.
Peter said I'd be hunting a good wide receiver.
I know, but it is so tough because I want to say that, but I mean, this team, Like the best receiving room team. Oh, I got okay. This one right here has no first, doesn't have their own first 26, but obviously it's Ben Wallace. You have their first. You do. Okay, you have his first, but obviously it's a frisky team. But he might not think it's frisky. I mean, I would probably see if this team would be interested in getting their 26 first back in a move where you could get. Oh yeah, but do you think you? What would you pay up? I would. Would you rather pay up for Amon-Ra than Powers? 0.7510 in premium.
I think so. I just
Would
feel I
you do a
feel
similar to he gets his first back?
I get scared with Bowers. Not because I think the talent isn't there or anything, but I think he could have a similar value trajectory as like a Laporta, where he has that first year where everyone's like, "Oh my goodness, he's lighting tight ends on fire," and then the second year it's like, "Wait a minute, is he doing that?" And then and I would hate to
Oh man,
be the person that traded
tough.
3 first-round picks for Laporta, and then you're like, "Wait a minute, like if you trade multiple first for Amon-Ra, and Amon-Ra doesn't have an amazing year, he's still Amon-Ra. He's still going to be a top 10, top 8 wide receiver at worst case. It's like if Bowers doesn't crush it, now you're sitting here and you have this Laporta that has this fake value that you can't realize because no one wants to pay that price. Whereas like Amon-Ra, even on the down year, people will be interested in trading for Amon-Ra.
Yeah, I know this is not what you're saying, because my pushback is not necessarily like totally disagreeing with you, because I get what you're saying, but man, I just think about the Bowers rookie season, the upgrade to Geno, Chip Kelly, and just the potential for the pace that the Raiders might play at this next season with what Bowers showed you and what Geno has shown as a legitimate NFL quarterback. I mean, Bowers is literally like rookie season is like Puka as a tight end in a 0.75. So now I'm kind of talking myself into it a little bit, but only, and as Diaz says here, and I agree with this, wait and see where the season goes. People fall out of contention. You can buy these competing receivers for cheaper. So maybe, and just look at all this ammo. So like think about this team, and we're looking at it, and we're trying to perfect the team. When I think just adding plus Bowers to this team and only having to give up 2 first plus something interesting, I'm 100% doing that. Diaz, what do you think? What do you think the Bowers price is? I assume you haven't set an offer yet, and we're talking through it right now on the call. Like, do you think 2 first plus? Let's look at the Bowers team. Let's start there.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
I don't know.
Bowers on the block is the only tight end on his roster. And oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, this guy wants picks, right? The frisky team. He's looking at Purdy and Stafford. He's got some crusty running backs that he can play. He does have Malik and BTJ. Can you give? Oh, it's so tough that we don't have a wide receiver, an interesting wide receiver we could give him plus the picks to get Bowers. I mean, give him whatever.
I don't think I'm doing Bowers, to be honest. I think that's just too like I don't have I don't want to have a Corvette in a trailer park. There's too many holes in this roster where I'm like, it's better for me to take all these high end shots and hope that I can turn 126 first into the next Bowers or BTJ or whoever, than to be like, let me trade all of that so then I have 3 players that I feel good on. Yeah, I mean, even like taking Higgins, taking Harvey, player like those picks this year. If he hits on one of them, then okay, cool. You got another guy there. And if you can roll out 4 first-round picks next year, and 2, I would be very aggressive during the year, right? Next time it might not be Rashee Rice, but a Rashee Rice situation happens next season, be the one saying, hey, I'll give you blah, blah, blah for him, right? Like, to me, I don't think this team is going to be relevant this year, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. I would say I have 4 firsts next year. Can I also grab a starting wide receiver that's banged up, that fits my window more this year, and not have to pay the premium price of 3 first-round picks for a guy that might, only fills 1 spot on my roster? Because you're still rolling out of Higgins, you're still rolling out Dylan Sampson, You're hoping Javante hits. Like, there's too many holes right now for me to be like, let me trade everything. And looking at a lot of these teams are over leveraged on their picks, and they're all kind of looking like they're trying to win. So you have a good zig while everyone's zagging.
Yeah.
You just kind of have to follow through.
Yeah, I hear that too. I do think that if you do end up following through with the Bowers move and you're able to get it at the cheap price we're talking about, it sounds like this note right here, he said in Shea wants QB and tight end. I mean, he's looking at, okay, I've got Purdy who's probably going to get re-signed. He's looking at Stafford and is probably like, I only got a couple years left of this. Let me use Bowers, the piece right now, to get up into the elite tier. So I assume in his mind, he's looking at, how can I get up to that elite range of quarterbacks? So I think unless you're willing to move off of probably Burrow. I don't know if you're getting to the Bowers conversation anyways, because I'm not moving Jaden Daniels. So if you're not wanting or willing to do that, that's funny, the Corvette thing. But yeah, I think getting Bowers does open up your team to be able to make 2 moves, and that's fine. I can go into the season. I can flex Ertz with Bowers. Say Flowers I can lock in. I feel okay locking in Juwan Jennings. I'm not going to bet on Jaden Higgins being someone I can lock in. So, like, yeah, you probably want to make a move to find probably 2 starters to feel good about this team competing heading into the season, which is a little bit much. But obviously you have the ammo to do it. But I'm not going to act like Brock Bowers isn't going to project as a top 2 tight end for the next 6 or 7 seasons in a 0.75 tight end premium league. So I definitely would knock on the door, but it sounds like from his perspective or her, it's probably Burrow would need to be a part of the deal. And if you're not willing to do that, then maybe it's for naught.
Yeah, it definitely would not be. You definitely
Burrow in a first.
Every deal I'm looking around, but I'm not trying to over commit to anything.
All right, Burrow. All right, let's do crazy deal. Ready? Burrow, a first, his own first back. And
you want to know where Brock Bowers finished in WAR?
Oh, we could pull that up. Wait, but let me cook.
Okay, let him cook. All
right, Burrow, a first. I don't like what I'm cooking, but I have to finish cooking. You ever start making something and it smells terrible and it's burnt? And you're like, I'm not gonna order. Like I need to see this. Yeah. It's already in the pot.
$50 at the grocery store.
Yeah. I'll just put some salt on it. All right, Burrow. I already don't want to do this, but I'm gonna follow through. Burrow, 2 firsts. 4. And
Peter's saying more.
And he can pick his favorite shoddy tight end. 4. Where's the Bowers guy? So right now I'm giving him Burrow, 2 firsts, and a crappy tight end. For Bowers, Stafford. Okay, does a 3rd first get me? Or does Burrow 2 firsts and a crappy tight end get you Stafford? It doesn't get you Stafford, BTJ, and Bowers. Three first is kind of crazy.
This is a
Burrow and 3 first is kind of insane. Yeah, somebody just lock me away. Just call the cops. I'm just gonna.
This is Will in a boring work meeting.
Yeah, this is exactly it. I'm filtering all across.
But I will say, Bowers, obviously tight end 1, was the 14th most impactful player in this format, where Joe Burrow was 2 overall. So it's just the way it goes, man. Like it's hard to value tight end. I'm not overcommitting to a position that literally has to be one of one that have any sort of market.
And where is he? Where's this guy? Right down here. Look at this Ertz, Yeah. Ooh. I'm going to throw this over to you. Can you explain what the WAR thing is?
Yeah, I think we got another live stream ask we could touch on for 2 seconds, but I'll touch on WAR. But yeah, WAR, what is it good for? It's wins over replacement against replacement. There's a bunch of different ways people say it. Generally, the way I like to look at it is just in ranges. But what it does is it takes an individual player like Brock Bowers, for example, and compares it against that replacement level player or range. And that would be like in a 12 team, start one tight end. It would be tight end 13 through 24. That would be a replacement level tight end. So then you can kind of say, okay, how much value does a Brock Bowers actually add to my roster versus a guy that wouldn't, in theory, be starting? So doing that, we can build distributions. And then the way I like to use it is not to focus on names. I know I did focus on names for that experiment, but really it's if I'm making a bet and I have to pick a range, it's like, do I have to hit a bullseye or do I just have to hit the wall? How big of variance and how much grace am I given when I'm trying to make that big blockbuster move? And what you saw is quarterbacks in that league, high-end quarterbacks are very impactful. High-end wide receivers are impactful. And obviously running backs, but running backs have a very slow decay curve. So that's why I'm always like, get the crusty guys, because there's, even if you get an RB20, they're still going to be a valuable player on your team, and they don't cost an arm and a leg like that premium wide receiver or that top end quarterback.
Love it. Beautiful. Shout out Big DS. Thanks for humoring me. It's worth the due diligence. Yeah, I totally agree. You just kind of have to with whenever the elite assets at each position hits the block. Obviously you always have to ask. You always have to ask, and you have to start from the viewpoint of why and what. Why are they doing it, and what do they want for it? But yeah, I agree that you probably, or it sounds like you probably would have to hit Burrow to make that deal happen, and it's probably not worth it. Breaking up your team. I think we're all in the same boat that we would rather use those firsts to kind of improve positionally if you can find, teams that are willing to do that either at this point or in the season.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we covered most of it, but yeah, I mean, you're positioned well. It's just one of those things. It's like you just got to wait. You just got to wait to realize some of that and actually get that fun roster that you want to, frame and put on your fridge.
Yeah, loose Jenga block. Oh, I love that. Yeah, no, I mean, you have the ammo, and you just want to be careful too. Like, yeah, you could throw all those first and be like, hell yeah, Brock Bowers in the lineup, baby. But then,
yeah, I do like the loose Jenga block analogy.
Patience
you just got to find where you can actually use your bullets on.
Mm-hmm. You said there was another. Got a couple. Frank Bowers. Oh yeah, I think we got.
Yeah, I forgot what the question was tied to that one. We had got a little rapid fire by Jay Din here.
What up, Jay Din?
Let's see. Have some advice would be great if you have time. River Rogue. But basically, it's a 12-team start 13, 2 tight ends. Ooh, that's interesting. And a 1 tight end premium. Now this is where you sell your soul for Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
I have 3 trade offers right now. I'm rebuilding. Do I keep punting? So you got first trade offer. GT for Travis Hunter and a mid to late 26 first and a second. So you're doing Hunter for a mid to late first and a mid to late second.
Sorry, I was copying the username. I clicked that thing like 3 times.
If I'm rebuilding, I'm probably taking that. While Will's in the lab, I'll say I'm probably taking Hunter the first. Because at this point you just need value. In a start 13, there's a lot of players you need to actually be able to put together to actually have a competent roster. Hunter plus I get a first next year. You say it's mid to late, but we don't know, and you can also trade it. Gives you that flexibility. You have anything you want to add to that one?
No, because I wasn't listening. I was pulling up the. This is the first one you're looking at, the Gen C for Travis Hunter.
Yeah, 26 the Gen C Travis Hunter the first. Yeah.
Ooh. Gen C, A-Chain, Hubbard, 210. Caleb Williams, Bryce Young, Jackson Dart. I mean, this is a young team. Look at that wide receiver room. Teteroa, Buka, J-Mo, Jerry Judy, Jaden Reed. let's take a peek at some of these other ones because I think this one is oh gosh, no, I don't know, Pitts or Kraft. Is Kraft even in this league? Is Kraft meaningful enough for you to want to move off of HN? You have to be able to hit a better tight end tier than just getting a late second and Jarquez Hunter added on, right?
Let's see. For what's A chain for Pitts?
Or Kraft?
Yeah, no, yeah,
Like,
no,
is Kraft?
that's gross.
Yeah, you.
No, I mean you take the A chain side.
Yeah, I understand looking at this tight end room and saying like I have to do something. Like I need to move one of these pieces to fix a tight end room. But while Kraft obviously projects insanely better than the tight ends you have currently, I don't think that's impactful enough to move off of HN.
Yeah, I mean even in like the crazy, I guess it is two tight end. I guess that's something you have to factor in.
So
It's the
this
two tight end with one tight
Bowers
end premium.
Bowers Loveland is a trust the process team. This running back room is terrible. Can you HN plus and go crazy to get Bowers off of this team? Do you think that's even possible? Braylon Allen, RB1. You would have to use picks. This probably would have to be an HN plus picks. How many picks? How many first are you adding onto HN to get Bowers in this league? He might even.
Is this the
take
same
a
league?
receiver.
I might be a little bit scrambled here.
So it should be because
I don't. That's not the Jaden league though, right?
no, this should be it. This is River Rouge, and he has HN.
I might be I'm looking at the wrong one.
No, you're good.
I was like, I'm not seeing anything here. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're definitely gonna have to give up at least one first, I think.
Do you think? I mean, they probably take it. But would you do Genty in a first for Bowers in this kind of league? 1.10 in premium, start 2 tight end.
Probably. I'd be curious to see like the WAR, but I've probably taken that.
The only tough thing with, I mean, I guess Bowers will hold the value the same way Genty will rookie season, but it's not like this wide receiver room is super inspiring for this season. I guess you could talk me into Jerry Jeudy and J-Mo and McMillan being interesting enough to have Bowers, HN. You got Caleb Williams, Bryce Young.
It's tough. It's tough because like in a 2 tight end league, you just don't have any guys. So you kind of are.
You're getting smacked over the head.
Yeah, like everyone knows you don't have a tight end.
Like this Trey McBride, David Njoku, Tucker Kraft guy is just kneeing you in the gut every single matchup. And his oh my gosh, this team is crazy. Burrow, Knicks. Sorry, I'm sorry to just be flexing this team in your league. I should not. I should read the room. Why is this guy making you buy Pitts or Kraft, man? You think you can get Njoku for cheap from this guy? If he has McBride, Pitts, Kraft?
I'd go like Njoku. Could you get like Jonnu?
Sam Laporta, Tyler Warren.
I would be looking at like a Jonnu.
How hard are you trying to buy tight ends to compete in this league though with this team? You're just so young at receiver.
Yeah, to be honest, yeah, like your wide receiver room is missing a lot. And you got Bryce Young.
And it's
like,
so
I love Bryce Young, but
it's so
Bryce
insanely
Young.
deep. It's so insanely deep. I mean, look at this team.
Realistically, it might be best to try to split something. Can I split like a GT and pick up like another player in the first? Can I split a chain? Like, because what's going to win you this is going to be your team stinks for a year. You get a bunch of first round picks and you just let it rip in the draft. And you pick up all these tight ends. You pick up all these, running backs. Like, because at the end of the day, I mean, you got Jaden Reed, Jerry Jeudy, Tootin is currently a starter. You got Gunnar Helm. Yeah, like there's so many holes. Yeah. It's similar to the Big Diaz roster as well, where it's like you could make that big swing, but it's probably best to just build up that war chest of picks. And
Yeah.
if you end up taking them all, it's like cool. Like I took them all, and now I have 8 players that people are interested in, and I have 4 of them that will probably hit.
Yeah. Yeah. Value wise, it probably does make sense to add a first onto one of these running backs to get a Bowers. But I think team wise and like the next stage you see this team competing, it probably doesn't involve trading away a running back plus multiple first to get one tight end.
Yeah. I agree. Let's see.
Kind of curious about this one in the context of talking about 2 tight end leagues. A two tight end, 1.75 tight end premium traded the 101 at JJ for the 102 in Bowers. Oh yeah, thirds and a force for Polk and Leggett in the package to give credit for. Yeah, I mean these are. I mean this is. I mean these types of leagues are where WAR really counts. Like yes, WAR matters for me in my leagues where I'm playing in no tight end premium or 0.5 where people think tight ends matter. But in these leagues where you look at Bowers in a 2 tight end, 1.75 tight end premium, I mean, that is Justin Jefferson in a tight end body.
And 2, I think another thing that isn't 100% captured is like the captured war aspect of it all, where it's like, are you starting Brock Bowers? Are you actually getting that war every time? Or is it like, oh, well, like I have a bunch of scattershot tight ends, but I don't know when I should start Taysom Hill. Where it's like you start Brock Bowers every week and you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's definitely an elite guy in that type of format.
All right, third trade here, just because we're already got this pulled up and we're hitting the Will Bladder edge here.
Oh boy.
Well, I mean, I think 2.5 hours is pretty good for.
Yeah, no, this was one of the longer.
Not just for the stream, but for Will's bladder. But we got Jackson Dart for a 26 second. So you do have Caleb Williams and Bryce Young already for a 26 second and third, or Strange in a third, or Likely in a third. See, I think the thing with this kind of move is I get wanting to figure out the tight end position, but I don't think a Strange or a Likely turns this team into a team that's competing, even though you do have Genty and Achane and Hubbard. It's just so many starters, and your team is really young. I mean, what would you?
I don't hate this though.
Dart,
because like I think Dart's already kind of like a second round pick to begin with.
Yeah, but don't you think?
In a league like this?
But don't you think this is the kind of team where you do kind of want to hold Dart and then trade him once he starts and has a decent game? Or are you worried that might not happen?
I mean, yes.
Do you see him spin that football, Jeremy? Do you see him spin that football?
He threw an orange far. I mean, I just think like this team is so desperate for any sort of tight end that like, I mean, if I could, like if I'm not getting bent over a barrel, like I spent a second on Dart. Now I take that second, like it's like a 25 second for a future second or a tight end, and I pick up a third. Like to me, I'm like, this is nice because it takes some of the heat off of everyone else logging into dynastydaddy.com and being like, oh, this guy has no tight ends. This guy's so desperate to have a tight end. You could be like, okay, cool. I at least got one. At least have one. It's not the sexiest option, but I at least have one that now it's not like all these teams can just take advantage of me. So if this is the best deal you can get that gets some sort of answer for one of the tight end spots, I mean, sure, you might be able to sell Dart for a late first in the future. I mean, you're still selling them for a second and a third.
Mm-hmm.
And it's super deep too, right? 12 teams. So I mean, quarterbacks are even less important here because it's like you're starting 11 other non-tight end players, or not quarterback players.
It's so hard to do this on a team that you have Genty and Achane, but there's a part of me that looks at this team in this type of format and is like, is this a not necessarily a full on tank? Like you just need to move off of Genty and Achane, but just looking at the receiver room, let's get
too deep.
yeah, let's get the
Like, it's so deep.
early
It's
first.
it's so deep. Like, to me, every move I'm making is going to be value based, and it's going to be not just consolidation. It's going to be a lot of splitting, right? Can I split dart? Okay, cool. I split dart for another starter and a third. Okay, cool. Now can I, like, it's just going to be like, how many players can I keep splitting? Not just the thirds. Like, thirds aren't great, but how many players can I split into other startable players? And that also includes like first or early seconds, because those are going to be startable players in this format.
Yeah. Thanks for taking a look. Yeah. No worries. Thanks for joining the Discord. Thanks for popping and hanging out in the stream. And thank you all. Honestly, we say it every week, but it's because it holds true. And I'll
say,
just got a sub go through there. Let's go.
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Right as I was doing my happy spiel.
I will say, we had 56 concurrent viewers. I think that was our peak. That beats our draft night stream. So that was big, and it keeps getting bigger each week. So I'm excited to keep this thing rolling, going throughout the summer, and it's gonna be fun when we actually have like weekly breakdowns with like actual NFL games and stuff. Like that's gonna be
when those
things are gonna be interesting.
When those training camp reports are hitting and they're starting, man, the rookie.
I know what you're excited for.
The rookie camp. There's like 4 things, and one of them is the Breece Hall trade. I'm pretty pumped. Fun watching it. No, fun having you guys all in here talking through. I mean, it's JJ McCarthy. Yeah.
I will also say we are going to pass the first threshold of monetization, 3,000 watch hours from this stream. So
what does the future hold for Dynasty Daddy? I know we talked about we're gonna do some leagues. We're gonna do some startup leagues. I'm sure like some sort of like the membership stuff, and I mean I know you're always cooking, but yeah, do we have any we could probably talk this offline too, of like exactly the logistics of when that'll start and look like.
I think I definitely want to do some leagues, and I think it'd be fun to do some startups and stuff on our streams. It could be somewhat backup as we talk through trades. Obviously we've been off a couple weeks, but some of the weekly videos and continue to build up these streams. And I know the one that we did on Sunday popped off pretty well too. So I'm thinking maybe doing some of those type mock draft style shows as well as trade shows.
Yeah,
figuring out what the community wants. So
yeah, let us know.
Put up polls or something like that.
You, the viewer, no, let us know for real, because I think what I appreciate so much is, I mean, there's so many different types of Dynasty content that I like watching. I like the real stuff. So like I like doing these team breakdowns where it's not just a like or the trades with context, where we're able to say like, here's what you should do. And, like we were talking about with the Herbert and the Rome trade, and it's like, well, in the streets, here's what I'm doing in my leagues. This is what I would say. So like if we're, if it's, hey, would love for these Dynasty Daddy leagues for, you to like pull up the startup boards like randomly on live streams, or have a video dedicated to, the team you drafted, or going through trades and everything. Let us know what specific things you like that you've seen across other channels that you want us to do, or even that you have ideas that you want to see us incorporating as well. The Little Monsters, jeez. The Dynasty Children. No, there's a lot of weird, terrible names for the Dynasty Daddy fan base that could definitely come through. So we'll have to find the one that is weird and not terrible.
We'll workshop some things.
Definitely. But no, I appreciate it. Any other closing remarks, or do we kind of hit it with the positive vibes to close out there?
Yeah, no, I'm excited. These are becoming some of my favorite weeknights, is hopping on and being able to talk Dynasty and having an active chat and going through everything with everyone. So yeah, I appreciate everyone joining every Tuesday. We'll be back next Tuesday. Will won't. Will has a work trip, but I'll try to cook up a mock draft or something. Like we'll keep it something, so it's not just me battling with the chat and evil Jeremy.
Well, we can pre-ban Evil Jeremy before the solo Jeremy live stream for sure. But no, appreciate you all, and yeah, see you next Tuesday. And subscribe, check out the YouTube channel, join the Discord. That's where we'll be posting, I'm sure, all the information about the leagues once those are kind of in the works. So if you're not in there already, get in there. And gosh, man, this is it's definitely good that we're ending stream right now, because these are gonna get, I'm sure, rougher. The Eddie Disciples, stepchildren. Jeez.
Oh yeah, that's true. The stepchildren. Yeah, we're starting to. The train is off the tracks right now.
But appreciate it. Much
Appreciate
love.
it.
See you next Tuesday.
week.